Hello, Internet. You're listening to the In Your House Comedy Podcast with the Babyface and his fellow funny friend. Now hold on to your butts. Keep your arms and legs inside the podcast at all times. Prepare to have an autographical orgasm in 3, 2, 1.
Tony Law was there doing, he was headlining, and I was... Tony Law, he's been on the telly quite often. He does 8 out of 10 Cats.
Oh!
Big, beard, bit crazy.
I'll probably know him in that case. It's not the one I'm thinking of, the kind of hobo-y one.
Yeah, he does look a bit like a gypsy hobo type thing.
I might, yeah.
Yeah, he's always quite out there and quite wild, but he's such a fun comedian. I was doing a gig with him, and I was so looking forward to meeting him. But he was a typical headliner. He turned up 5 minutes before his set. But when he was there,
I do know when I'm first. But
I've been very lucky lately. So I go there, I do my set, and it was a 50-50 set. It went really well. I thought it could have been better, but I'm sat in the green room afterwards. I'm just like, oh dear, it's like I should have done this. I should have done this joke. That should have been a bit tighter. You know, really emphasising that.
Something I think, from what I've gathered, like talking to like a lot of newer people and talking to like someone like Matt, for example, who's been doing it 16 years. That's something that never goes away.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. I did a gig with with Scott Bennett up in Nottingham, and it was so great to see. Before he goes on, because he's been doing like 10 years, and he's brilliant. He's going to be the next big thing. But before he goes on the stage, he's like the rest of us. We're nervous. We're pacing. We're going over our sets.
You can feel the nervous energy, can't you, when you're waiting to go off?
You know, he isn't sat at the stage like rolling a cheap cigarette, saying, "Oh, just another night for me." Yeah. It was good, and it made me feel more relaxed about it. But no, I was doing this gig with Tony. I was just doing a gig with Tony. Yeah, so casual. So I was in the green room and I was feeling a bit down about it.
Before we go on, I probably should say, introducing Big D Archer.
Yes, thanks for having me. It's really good to be here.
Fellow comedian, and fellow funny friend, Big D Archer, thank you very much for coming on to the In Your House podcast.
It's really great to be here, thank you.
Introduction done, sorry to interrupt you, carry on.
Thank you. So yeah,
I'll forget if I didn't do it then. I'd already forgotten, so.
No, it's good. No, I was just sat in the green room feeling a bit down, and I just turned my head, and Tony's literally like right by my face, the biggest smile on his face, and it just took me out of my seat for a second, like, bloody hell, someone like him, and he's looking over smiling at me, and he just, hello, you're right, buddy, and all this, and it was just... It just changed. It was so nice to have that. You know, they're like us. You know, they're normal people.
Yeah, you want to get big, yeah.
Yeah, and he was just the friendliest guy, and he was telling me about the podcast he's been listening to, and it's the future and all this, and it was so nice to see.
When was this one then?
This was it was last month at a gig in Hereford at the Green Dragon. There was about 120 in the audience, and like I said, it was a really good night, a very drunken night, very fun night, but it's definitely one that I'll remember. Yeah.
It's one of them. A drunken night can go two ways, kind of. If people get too drunk too near the beginning, near the beginning of the set, they just kind of take it over. They forget. They're not supposed to get involved as much, which is good sometimes, you know.
We do have gigs where people get a little bit too drunk, and we both can remember one, you know, where you have typical hecklers, ones who like to finish your jokes, ones that like to criticise you on stage, and then you've got the one drunk critic who likes to come onto stage and give you a hug. And we all know gigs when that's happened, and it's definitely different, you know.
We mentioned that one on about Divine like last year. We talked about that a few times. So I had a few people from that night on here.
I think what made me laugh the most was that he was just being his normal drunken self, but next to him was his young daughter, who at that time of night should have been at home in bed doing the homework. That's right.
Yeah. Definitely.
But she just sat there like, he does this every night of the week.
She was the adult.
That's it. She's like, come on, Dad, it's time to go home. Come on now. And he was just, he was just so funny. Every comedian, he just wanted to be a part of the show. That's it. You know.
I'm generally, I get why it bothers people, and I've decided to get it a bit more as I've been doing it. When people, just shout out stuff, but I'm not as bothered as long as it's friendly.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't get many people shouting. I get people shouting out like encouragement or a bit, something, but nothing too critical and nothing hazing and nothing too abusive. It's quite nice. Roll with it anyway. Yeah, definitely. I think the comedy scene has got a lot better and a lot more welcoming, especially with a lot of the new audiences coming in to see the new comedians these days. But they're there, a lot of the times they're there for a free night of comedy. They just want to enjoy themselves. You know, as long as you're not that comedian who's in their face, you know, swearing and getting really aggressive with them, you know, you're fine. I think it's got a lot better.
Yeah, that militant kind of comedy has gone a bit now, just because of the climate nowadays.
Yeah. That's a Brexit. We can blame that on Brexit as well.
You know what's crazy? Funnily enough, this is episode number 11 now.
Yeah.
I haven't talked about Brexit once, and I thought to myself, you know, with all the shit that's going on, I've got it on my notes. I'm going to bring up Brexit, and you brought it up anyway.
No. I mean, I did a lot of gigs recently where a lot of promoters have stated that, listen, there's certain things we don't want to hear about tonight. We don't want to talk about Donald Trump. We don't want to talk about Brexit and other local issues. So it was like, I can believe it. Some more recent issues that we don't need to discuss at this point in time. But
no naming names anyway.
We're not naming
names.
No. But it's definitely something that everyone talks about it. Everything you talk about on a daily basis, it seems to come back to Brexit all the time.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, we're flogging a dead horse here a lot of the time.
Yeah, I keep seeing all these adverts, like you've probably seen them as well, where like they're saying get ready for Brexit on the 31st of October. Make sure your business is ready for Brexit. Do everything. How can you get ready for something when you don't know what's happening yet?
Brexit's been happening for a couple of years now.
Yeah, but the guidelines haven't been set out.
No. It's almost it's going to be the weirdest thing. I don't think it's going to happen on the 31st anyway.
No, they've already conceded that he's going to go. Even though Boris Johnson was like, "Over my dead body, will I get an extension?"
Why do it on October 31st on Halloween? It's not really good PR, is it? You know, the world's going to turn into some kind of Mad Max, you know, Romany world afterwards. But you want to advertise it. It all starts on October 31st. You know. All these kids are going to be running around like Captain America, Iron Man, you know, Boris Johnson. You know, it's not really the right time to be doing it. But we'll see what happens. I personally think it's going to be pushed back again.
I think it should be, and I've been of the opinion that I don't think we should have left in the first place anyway. But ignoring that, I think we should do a re-vote anyway, because the idea that people voted for was a romanticised version of what Brexit could be.
Yes, I totally agree with you on that.
They need to redo it.
So the original vote, we didn't know the full truth, and everyone always blames the people who voted Leave and people who voted Remain. There's a big argument always, but if you're the person who only gets a certain amount of facts, who doesn't really look into these type of things as much, you know, working class people, we don't always know too much what's going on in the political world. We're going to vote.
A lot of people don't like to hear it because a lot of times nothing you can do, it's just annoying.
That's it, So we're going to vote on what we think looks better, you know. So a lot of people, I voted Leave, you know, and I have regretted that. I can't believe I'm admitting that. I got it here. Yeah. I admit it. It was since then, it's all come out about the lies that we were told. Again and again and again. And the people who organised, the Leaving Party, they're gone. And the ones who are still around, they shouldn't be running the country. But so the issue we have, I will say this, you're saying about doing a second vote. I do agree to a certain extent, but then where does it end? Do we have a third vote? Do we have because what will happen is there are diehard fans out there who think, well, my vote the first time should count. Yeah. If you're then just going to vote again, I'm going to vote for the third time because why should your vote count more than mine? And it's our own government who's got us into this position. Yeah. And eventually, what's going to happen? Half the country is going to be pissed off. Half the country is going to be lording it over them. And I don't think, like I say, Brexit won't happen. It will just continue.
Yeah, even after people that want to leave, even when we do leave, we're going to be unhappy because of the way we leave.
That's it.
It's one of them, like, I understand like completely, like, where does this stop? But it's just because it was, the idea we were voting on was not the realistic idea, but at the same time, like you said, if people are read into that at the time, then they'd have known that. Yeah,
that's it.
But I also think the government, at the same time, were probably just a bit optimistic. Yeah. I don't think the government are this super powerful, like, we was on about conspiracy theories earlier.
Yes, yeah.
Like...
were we?
Like, I love reading conspiracy theories too, but I'm very much of the belief that I don't believe the government has enough control or power or organisation to do most of these conspiracies.
Yeah, no, I can believe that.
They're dumb, man. They're just dumb.
Well, we're the ones who put them into power, and then once they're in power,
and Donald Trump, they're the two world leaders right now.
Oh, it's so embarrassing, isn't it?
When Donald Trump makes when the English Prime Minister makes Donald Trump look tidy, then
I know,
got an issue.
It is incredible. It is. I think the ultimate analogy I got told the other day is like, when you're at a party and an argument breaks out, you're that guy who pisses in the punch bowl, but before leaving you realise I got a lift with someone, I'm going to have to wait for them. That is Brexit at the moment. Yeah. We've pissed in the punch bowl and we can't leave the party just yet. We've got to just man up and wait. And that's what it generally feels. That's it. Yeah. That's how it generally feels.
We've all been there.
Wait. Yeah, we've all been there.
We understand Brexit. We get it. We get it. We understand where you're at.
Yeah.
It's cool. Yeah. If you're watching now Brexit, Yeah, man. But that's the thing, with a lot of the conspiracy theories. Like, there's so much evidence coming out for aliens now. It's fucking crazy.
Oh, I know.
Proper evidence.
I really just want them to just come out once and for all. Say, listen, turns out there's been aliens all along. They're the Welsh. Yeah. They were here all along. It's just you were those to see them. Like,
but no, fucking sheep all along. It's what they did.
I'd love it. They say that if aliens did exist, our tiny little brains wouldn't be able to understand. And I think we've watched some pretty weird shit on TV or online. At least I have. And then I think we'd be pretty much okay by now.
Yeah, it's not a crazy thing. It's just like finding a new species of animals that just happens to be as clever as us.
I remember being down in London once, and there was a bloke on the side of the road by the park who was spouting that aliens are coming for us. They're coming to steal all our Red Bull. And who was more crazy? Was it the guy saying they're going to steal our Red Bull, or me who stood there for the next 10 minutes, listening to see what else crap he was going to come out with?
That's fair enough.
That's it. So be careful, they are coming for our Red Bull. And so I was just blown away by it.
Take the Red Bull, take the monster, then we got a problem on our hands.
Oh, yes.
Motherfucking thing. Okay, let's get rid of that. Yeah, but like that Area 51 thing, they did that Russian it that you mentioned as well with the Naruto run.
Did they actually even do it in the end?
They did. There was just a very few of them, and it didn't go very far when they got turned around.
You don't warn the government that we're coming for you.
It's a stupid thing to do.
Yeah, it's privatised land, and it's basically them. We're coming for you, and the government turned around and said, "Yeah, we know we're coming for you, but I think we'll be ready." So of course they were ready. They had guns and plenty of troops. They knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, the fucking government, man. Like, yeah.
I would have loved to just seen like the government side of things, like if one of the security guards had a camera, just to see a lot of these like conspiracy theories running across. It's like, oh, it'd be like the weirdest race ever to watch. But what was supposed to happen? You were supposed to run in.
They were supposed to raid it. Was the idea? Loads. If thousands of them would have actually gone, and it could have happened. They could have got in there.
Ran to the site map that said, "Oh, aliens are here," and
go this way.
Yeah. I don't understand what they were honestly going to get out of it.
I don't think they ever did. I think it was just an excuse to do stupid shit and get high in the desert.
Oh yeah.
Which in that case, I prove it.
There you go. Yeah.
Right then, yes. So what I wanted to ask you then, you already brought it up earlier too. Excuse my burp. Big D. Where'd that come from then?
Oh, so basically...
Is it all about your willy or is it...
No. It's more the diabetes side of things. Oh. No. It's not. It's nothing to do with that. I work in a job with... I basically look after lads with autism. And I wanted to make sure there was a clear space between my job, life, and what I'm doing in comedy. And
that is a good thing, like the whole looking after people with autism now. It's one of those things that I could never, I don't think I could do that kind of thing, but I have mad respect for people.
It is one of the toughest jobs and one of the best jobs I've ever done. And I could literally talk for the next 2 hours talking about the fact that how the government is screwing over people with disabilities and that. And it's absolutely but obviously I can for certain reasons because I've got to be very careful what I say for all the place I work and whatnot. But it is an amazing job. I work with some amazing people who work very hard and they deserve so much praise. You never hear about the good stories with us. The care. There's a lot of instances in care where you hear about the bad stuff. You don't hear about the good stuff, and that's a shame. That's what we want to get back to. But so I had to create this character, and it is a character. It's a mask that I wear, and it's I was looking at it, and everyone always referred to me quite as a big lad. I'm a big lad. My mum refers to me as a big lad. So I looked at it and thought, I'll just call myself Big D. Keep the Archer.
Nice,
it's nice and simple.
Yeah.
And then after a while, people started asking, what's the D stand? And it's a great setup for a lot of jokes. It's so easy. I say, it's for disappointment, it's for diabetes, it's for dyslexia, and it's working really well. So I've kept it. And it has...
stand out as well.
Yeah, I quite like it. A lot of comedians I've spoken to have said it's a great idea to do because there needs to be a healthy balance between your work life, your personal life, and comedy. So and it's been working really well for me. I've been very lucky with it.
Yeah, I liked it when I saw it because I think I said to you not too long ago that when I last saw you, you had like big long hair, big bushy beard, went by your other name.
Yeah, that's it.
You were just doing this new stuff.
I loved having long hair. It took me so long to grow long hair. I'm not like most people. It takes me forever. I burnt my eyebrows off in school with a Bunsen burner. And it took me like 2 years to grow them back. I'm there penciling them on every morning. And then if I was ever surprised, I'd wipe it off, trying to draw it back on again. But it's just one of these things. I had lovely long hair, mad beard. And if you see some of the videos I did and some of the photos, I genuinely look like quite a homeless man. And what happened was the birth of my son. And it's a lovely day, and we were in the hospital for like maybe 2-3 days. My wife had just had Jack, my little boy, and I was going to go home, grab a few things, and come back. When I came back, they wouldn't let me into the maternity ward because they thought I was a homeless guy. And you can imagine what it looked like from that side of the door, me banging, let me in, I just want my baby. It was very creepy, and police could have been called. So I texted my wife, said, listen, I'm going to be a bit longer. She's been on at me for ages to cut my hair. So I went back and I cut it all off. And it generally, I had a little bit of a cry about it because I love that hair.
It's a hard thing to do, man. I've had to cut my long hair a few times.
And so I cut it off. I trimmed the beard. I haven't lost the beard because if I lose my beard, you see all my chins. I'm a big guy, and the beard hides a lot of it as well, which is great.
You're able to grow facial hair, man. I hate you and envy you at the same time for it.
Trust me, once you hit puberty, it will all come through. You'll be great.
I'm getting there. I have hair on nut now.
What do you call it?
I haven't called it.
Oh, you got to call I remember being like about 12. Twiggy. I remember being told off in class, looking down at my groin and naming all the hairs on them. It was magical times. So, it's a question for yourself then. If you were going to create a character for yourself, then what would it be?
I've already got a character, don't I?
Babyface. Babyface.
Yeah.
Is that something you want to keep going with? Because you will get older. You will get.
The way you said that, is that something you want to keep going with? Coming from the guy who was referred to as a penis.
So when did you change that then? You've always been called that then?
Yeah, since I started. I've started as a babyface.
All right. And people refer to you as it then, do they?
Yeah.
Like the babyface comedian.
Yeah, well, I'll get introduced to Babyface Karl Hinken. I
like
still
that.
use my name, but I use both. A lot of the people that I know and stuff, just refer to me as it a lot of time anyway, and I get introduced as it.
No, it's good. It's a good name.
It's just a random thing to keep you, to just make you a bit different, make you stand out a bit. And
that's exactly it, isn't it?
Yeah. A lot of people think it's because of actual having a baby face.
Yeah.
Which I have always had a baby face, to be fair. I'm older than people think, I'm almost 30.
I'm a bit older than that myself, and people actually say that. I look pretty old. It's been tough times,
But it's a wrestling term anyway.
Yeah.
What it actually is. It means a good guy.
Yeah, well, when it comes to wrestling, I'm absolutely mad on wrestling. Old school
You?
wrestling. Yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
My man, so you understand the name of this podcast
Yeah,
then?
of course I did. I remember watching one of the first In Your House with Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
It's back then it was Hulk Hogan, and then it went over to the Undertaker. I've always been massive on the Undertaker. Shawn Michaels. Later on,
proper workout.
Oh, he's still going. Let the man retire.
Yeah, he wants to do it though. He keeps asking. He's supposed to be on SmackDown, but he chose not to be.
Man should just retire. He should have retired after he broke. When the streak broke, which I hated, by the way, it should have ended. It should have been Triple H come back one more time, or Shawn Michaels come back one more time. And when you saw that one match where Shawn Michaels and Triple H came back to fight Undertaker and Kane in Dubai, it was just such... Shawn Michaels being bold for a start. It was Saudi Arabia. It was so weird to see him like that. And it was so wooden.
Bold Shawn Michaels.
It was a wooden night where nothing went right, and it was so depressive. But yeah, no, I've always loved my wrestling. I've always been... man. I am a big geek in the end. I actually love it. I watch all the highlight reels. NXT.
Still now as well?
Yeah. And I am starting to get into AEW, which is, you know...
ask you about that.
Oh, I love what they're doing over there.
It's so different. I mean, it's a bit messy at the moment, but you should expect that. Because they're trying to they're not looking at WWE, they're trying to do their own thing. And it's going to be messy because that's how they go. Like the win-loss thing, I don't think is going to stick forever.
Yeah.
I don't think it can after, you know. I mean, imagine like half a year down the line and it can't stick forever because it's storyline stuff, you know.
But one of the best things in WWE or WWF as it was back then, in the history of it, was when WCW and ECW came together and the huge invasion. It was incredible. Right, so potentially,
that was peak time for me as a kid.
Potentially in years to come, we might see AEW invade WWE.
I hope not, because that means WWE bought them.
Well, they have threatened to do it before. And they have the money, and this will be the time that they are building traction now.
Yeah.
And WWE, if you watch a lot of their shows, there's a lot of signage going out. There's a lot of chants going out for AEW.
Yeah, they don't want it.
No, exactly.
They're removing anyone that comes in with AEW signs. They're removing, and to be fair though, AEW are removing any signs that come in that are anti-WWE.
Yeah,
which is quite cool. To be fair, I like that.
They're fighting fire with fire, and it's the right thing to do. But they are definitely on the increase at the moment.
Yeah.
AEW, give it another year, and I think a lot of these things will be ironed out, and it's going to be a nice, smooth show. But
and they've got a billionaire backing them, so I don't think being bought out by Vince at the moment is a feasible thing.
No, probably not. But eventually it will become a threat because it is a huge business.
But they've got to decide to sell it to Vince, and they won't.
Yeah, there are ways. Yeah, you're right. But I think the time will come, like a lot of new businesses, that it will reach a point where it can expand or it will start to decrease. And that all depends over the next couple of years with AEW. They've got a TV slot just the same as WWE are now on, is it FX or is it on Sport or something like now?
Well, it's on Fox in America.
Fox, that's it, yeah.
I don't think it's changed over here. But that's the one thing with AEW. They've lost their live Dynamite UK deal.
Yep.
Which, that sucks.
They have a huge UK fan base, and to have that...
And they need to sort it out.
Yeah.
They really need to sort that out.
So we might see something in years to come, but I'd love to see a crossover eventually, but it would have to be done right.
I really can't imagine that scenario, because WWE at the moment, they're just throwing everything at the wall, and it's gone to shit. Like, they were doing so well. Like, last week was the biggest week for wrestling fans in so long.
Oh, I was so disappointed. Tyson Fury and all that.
That was smart.
They've done this before with Mike Tyson years ago.
And Floyd Mayweather.
Oh, God, we're against the Big Show and all that. You know, Braun Strowman is a character that should have been pushed more. Yeah. He needs to be doing more. But no, every time he stepped aside, and it annoys the hell out of me. But the man who will eventually take over is Triple H. What he's done with NXT. NXT is absolutely... They brought back one of my favourite types of matches, War Games.
Yeah, War Games.
Which was genius. And then they put these teams in that were perfect to fight against each other.
Was it Undisputed ever been in both, have they?
Yeah, they've done both. You had the Viking War Raiders, as they were originally called.
War Raiders.
Yeah, they keep changing the name, don't they?
I liked Viking Experience, you know. Yeah. When it came up, I liked it, and everyone bitched about it.
It was good, but it had such a good fan base in NXT. But when it came over, they decided to change it again. I don't know why. It's like Authors of Pain.
YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Anything that's like got war in it, or like some kind of stuff like that's demonetized or something.
Oh, but then you got Authors of Pain, who are finally coming back in, and they were good. They were brilliant back then, and they've been pushed aside. There's a lot of big names who came from NXT that have kind of been pushed away, you know. But Ricochet, I've been watching him since back at the Temple, back on I can't remember what it was, Aztec Warfare. And it was absolutely phenomenal Mexican wrestling show they used to do. Lucha Underground.
Yeah.
He was absolutely...
He was masked, wasn't he?
Prince Puma. He was... The man deserves all the credit in the world. He is the AJ of the Mexican world who's just come into it. AJ's looking to retire in the next year or two. This man's going to take over. And he's just phenomenal. He is. What he's doing is just up in the game.
He hasn't got the charisma or mic skills yet, though.
No, he hasn't. But like with everything,
He'll come.
Yeah. He needs to be put with the right people to get him to that point, and I think he will get there.
Paul Heyman is good for that kind of stuff, helping people. But at the same time, since he's took over Raw, there has been some downsides to it still.
Yeah, and there will be for time to come.
Did you see the whole everything to do with Lashley and Lana?
Oh yeah, what is all that about? He was supposed to be brought back later on in the year, and he was supposed to have me set up for a title shot. And they brought him back in this weird storyline where his wife's basically taken everything from him. And Lashley, who in I can't remember which business it was it Non-Stop Wrestling or something? Yeah. And he was brilliant as the bad guy. Now he's come back and he's a joke.
Yeah. He's still a bad guy, but he's a shit bad guy.
Oh, yeah, he's rubbish. Best bad guy at the moment, hands down, is Baron Corbin. I love that guy. I think what he's doing is incredible.
You know what? It's hard to argue. Him with the whole thing with The Rock and Becky Lynch. Like, Becky Lynch and Corbin, a lot of people normally get swallowed up by The Rock, but both of them, I thought, kept up with him.
Oh, definitely. Becky Lynch.
Testicle line.
I love Becky Lynch, but there are a few the women wrestlers I don't know. They're just not quite there yet.
Yeah.
You know, Charlotte Flair. She rides she's amazing. She rides her name really well, and I'm quite glad she's taken the mantle.
Yeah.
But there's Becky Lynch, the man. She's every time some of the moves she's doing now, she's definitely up in the game every time. Yeah. She has taken. We're not in the Attitude Era anymore, but we're in this era now where there's a huge change happening, and it's great. We saw the first Women's Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
And
I was saying for ages needed to do that.
Yeah. Well, the problem was we had a couple other franchises threatening to do it as well.
And not enough women.
Well, that's it. Well, NXT had a load of women come in for training. They started doing the shows, and then loads of them got pushed in, which was brilliant. But then we had our first ever women's event, which was Evolution. Yeah. And there were some down parts, and there were some good parts. Ronda Rousey, I absolutely loved.
She was such a surprise. From her first match, she was just... I didn't expect anything in that match with WrestleMania, and then straight away, just like, wow, okay.
She put in the mileage, she did. She put in the training. She wanted to prove that she's not here just for a token name.
She wasn't a Brock Lesnar.
No.
She was a proper... Like, when Batista comes back, he always works matches. He always works dark matches. He tries, he goes for it.
Yeah.
She did the same.
Oh, okay. But, no, it's all good.
Yeah, man.
We just talked about wrestling for the past 20 minutes. That's pretty
good. I did start a wrestling podcast in on its own.
Yeah.
And then it's just the guy that I was doing it with just wasn't able to come down enough. And now, fucking wrestling's on like every other day.
Yeah, no, I love it.
Can't get away from it.
When I was a kid, you'd have maybe Monday Night Raw, and it was either you watched Raw or you watched WCW Nitro, and that was it. You didn't really have much other options.
I was doing
now. Oh yeah, I've always been WWF, but I've always liked to look over the garden fence and see Sting, Scott Steiner, the Wolfpack, NWO were brilliant in the early days, and then when they came over to WWE, it was such a letdown.
But that was the thing, as you mentioned earlier, with the invasion angle when they did that, they didn't buy out all the good TNT contracts, the big ones, so. You didn't have your Goldberg, you didn't have Ric Flair, you didn't have
Sting. Sting is the bravest man in wrestling because he turned around and he did the very last match on WCW against Ric Flair, and he turned around and said, "I'm not coming over. No matter how much money you offer me, I'm not coming over." And what was it, 20 years? 20 plus years?
Yeah.
He came back. I mean, God, he was in his mid-50s, late 50s, right? And he went up against Triple H. It was a brilliant match. It was quite a basic match, but it was a good match. NWO coming down against D-Generation. I was D-Generation all the way.
Because Sting was always against NWO, but at the same time, it was like that loyalty.
He also had connections with the Wolfpack.
Yeah.
So he sometimes worked with them, but was always against them. It was quite clever.
It was so convoluted in the end, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Everyone was with everyone was against everyone.
I think it's like the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and that's how the angle went.
My enemy of my enemy.
It was a good match, and it kind of ended. But then he stayed around. He stayed around to go, and it annoyed me because he went up for the title against Seth Rollins.
Oh, yeah.
And he broke his neck.
Yeah.
Against I can't stand the buckle bomb.
Yeah.
It's a terrible move.
He stopped using that now, hasn't he?
He started using it again.
Because he set up for the curb stomp from it.
Yeah. So you had, who was the first Universal Champion? It was Finn Balor. He broke his shoulder, collarbone and all that because of it. Sting ended his career with a broken neck, basically. And he always stated he was coming back for, it was like a 1 year or 2 year deal, all he wanted to do was to raise that title once.
Yeah.
That's all he wanted. And
personally, I don't think he should have anyway, and I don't think he was going to.
I think if he'd stuck around, we would have seen it once, just once.
I
would have loved to seen him against the Undertaker.
Yeah,
the Eras match would have been just phenomenal.
Considering what they did in his first match, against Triple H, that just buried him. I don't think they would have put the title on him.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what they did to Goldberg when he came over.
Oh, Goldberg's come back a number of times. I love Goldberg.
When he came... Sorry, go.
The match he did against Brock Lesnar when he came back, and it was a bit more, you said things about my family, so I'm coming after you. Like
personal.
That's... Brock Lesnar was set up to be the undefeatable man. You could not break him. And then in that match, he was speared twice, jackhammered, and lost title in a record amount of time.
Yeah, sure.
Which has just been broken by Brock Lesnar against Kofi Kingston.
That was horrible, man.
The thing is, I like Brock Lesnar as a champion. He's not the greatest champion, but at the moment, there's not many people I can say who are on his level at the moment. Even Seth Rollins, he shouldn't have beat Brock Lesnar. He's not quite there yet. But it's just one of those things, isn't it? They got a lot of talent at the moment, but they don't seem to be going anywhere. And the storylines aren't complete. They're kind of all over the place.
They're just kind of hoping the stuff's going to stick. Camberlesque's not even signed, apparently, yet.
Yeah, but we always knew that all these big legends were leaving WWE eventually, Shawn Michaels and all that. And just let them go. But they keep bringing them back for these, trying to push people over. They got a whole room full of amazing characters waiting to come out. And they're just not pushing the right ones.
Yeah,
it's a shame.
They're trying to stick with their old people. They're getting a bit better lately. I think they might have started to learn. After the horribleness that was Undertaker and Goldberg, Crown Jewel, and then they brought Goldberg back and had him against Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah.
Putting an old with a new, no, Dolph Ziggler's not new, but still.
Dolph Ziggler deserves more. Yeah. I like him as bad guy. Don't get me wrong, but he should have been like the next Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
I actually love some of the stuff he's done in the past. But yeah, when he went up against Goldberg, you could see what was going to happen. But the man took spear after spear after spear, and he kept the character going. It was brilliant.
It was great. And he's a comedian as well.
Yeah, he does stand up. I've seen some of his bits online, and he's funny guy. Yeah, he's a very funny guy.
I didn't see much of it. Last thing I'll say about wrestling, because we can carry on talking about it all night. It's so easy, isn't it, when you find someone else that likes wrestling?
That's it. Yeah.
Did you watch The Fiend and Rollins in the South?
So I watched it the following day. I usually do stay up. I am a bit of a nerd. I will stay up and watch it.
Same.
1 o'clock to about 4 o'clock in the morning. It's bloody knackering, but I will do it. But I only watch the highlights. And when I watched the Hell in a Cell match, I love what The Fiend is. I love the character they're trying to bring across.
Like an 80s.
Yeah.
It gets beaten down and comes back.
And he kept getting up, like Michael Myers. He just kept getting up.
Exactly.
Yeah. But it went from being physical to being more comic book very quickly, and it's a shame. I like the fact that he's adopted the mandible claw, and Sister Abigail. I'm glad he kept that move. It's a good move. He's lost all the weight. He's got the character down. I love the fact that he's doing like what the Undertaker used to do, like lights off, he turns up. I love that type of thing.
They did it too much in the build-up to Hell in a Cell, I felt, though. He kind of lost his silver a bit.
And what's the deal with the red light all the time?
You know what? Normally, they've never done that before for him. But
they did it with Finn Balor, didn't they?
Not in the match. No.
I didn't like it. I really didn't like it.
I normally don't, but for some reason, I just felt like it worked for that because it felt like a horror. I was okay with that. I was loving it all, absolutely loving it, up until the bell rang.
Oh, okay, yeah.
When he DQ'd, I was like, you've DQ'd for the second year in a row as well.
Yeah.
Called off a fucking Hell in a Cell match. Like, all he had done was he did that, he went over, pinned him, and he jumped up straight away doing this crazy thing, and then murdered him, took the title. That's all you needed.
I would like to see the Fiend win.
Yeah.
Because it would be nice to see the bad guy winning for a change.
Yeah.
I'm not a big Seth Rollins fan.
So
I'm not a Roman Reigns. I can't stand him. He did a lot against John Cena back in the day, and I was never the biggest fan. Same as John Cena. I'm not a big fan of him. I
appreciate him now, though.
Oh yeah, to a point, I suppose I do. But there are some good characters. I think it's a case of sticking with WWE and seeing what comes in the next year or two, because I think there are some amazing characters that will eventually get there. Like EC3, when he was in NXT, he was brilliant.
Yeah. He didn't stay never very long though, did he?
No. I tell you, the two people I actually love watching in NXT was is it Ciampa?
Yeah.
And who was the other one?
Gargano.
Yeah, that's it, Johnny Gargano.
Yeah.
Them two, their rivalry was brilliant. I love the anywhere full type matches, the hardcore matches, and I was kind of hoping that they were going to bring it over onto the main stage, but they ended up didn't because of the injuries. Yeah. But now he's back. I think, but they're moving people from WWE to NXT now.
Yeah, it's basically not a developmental brand now. It's on you've got the same TV deal. Apparently, a lot of the ones that are on the developmental contracts are getting proper ones now.
Yeah,
which is sweet for them. Like, it's great.
Oh yeah, but it was always NXT was the proving grounds to get to the main show. Now Finn Balor is going, and Finn Balor has earned his right to be on the main stage. He is so gifted.
He's great. Yeah.
So he's now
on
NXT.
Right there,
No, when he was the first Universal Champion, I thought it was finally going in the right direction. We're going to see some new blood here, and it was about time. You know, it wasn't about being the biggest or the toughest. And that was what Shawn Michaels always used to say. It doesn't matter how big you are. I will fight you. I will put all on the line. Put on the best show.
Bret Hart too, arguably.
Yeah, Bret Hart. Yeah, you know, and now you see it. They're kind of sticking to the big guys again.
They are edging more to it now. Yeah, it's just Vince McMahon, man. He's so out of touch with what's relevant. He really is.
But that's why Triple H is starting to take more control, which is great because what he does in NXT, what he did for the women's division, the tournaments and all that, what he's doing for the UK at the moment.
They've both been cancelled in Mae Young and Evolution
this
year.
Well, they
both been cancelled, but
you know what he's doing for the UK side of things as well. He deserves a lot more credit he doesn't get. But him and was it Road Dogg? Road Dogg's now split ways. He's no longer So. You know, him and William Regal, they've done some amazing things. So I'd like to see what comes next. What I'd love to see is, because now we've lost Shane, right, off he goes. But I'd love to see the fight for control and interest in WWE against Shane McMahon and Triple H. That's one match I'd love to see.
He'll come back, Shane McMahon.
Oh yeah,
you know,
how many times was Vince fired? And I used to love those. Him and Stone Cold. That era was genius. How many times did you want to punch your boss and stunner him? I used to do it all the time. I used to really want to do it. You know, apart from drinking beer on the job, which I got fired for, but that's another matter. But you know, he was a working man.
There's a great advert when I don't know if you've seen it. I think it's for the new game. A waiter walks into a restaurant, you know, with the food and that. Yeah. And Stone Cold's just sitting there, and there's this band just playing, you know, like. Whatever. And he sees them, and he just smashes the tray on the floor with the glass. Yeah. Just breaks, and then Stone Cold looks at him, and then the big violinist is like, do-doom, do-doom, do-doom.
Oh yeah.
Great.
It's brilliant.
Fucking awesome, man. So so you've got the you was on about the gigs you're doing earlier in that then, because I know we was on about the Coffee #1 Hereford gig, which is the one I'm going to be doing with you on I'm pretty sure it's the 7th.
The 7th of November, yeah.
And then you said you've got other ones as well still. Like, is that Wobbly Comedy back around now then?
Yeah, so what's happened was I had a big meeting with the Wobbly Brewery. It's been brought up by a company who basically what they want to do is they want to have an all under one roof entertainment type business where they'll have the mobile brewery, which they can do at weddings or events and whatnot. They can supply entertainment, whether it be bands, comedians, people like the Sportsman's Dinner and things like that. They want to create this thing where you can literally go onto the website and just pick and choose what you want, and they'll create the package for you. And it's a genius idea because
that's a good idea. Yeah, baby.
You know, everyone's fed up at the typical going to your local Witherspoons for Christmas dinner. They want a different experience.
Yeah, and more tailored for you.
Oh God, yeah. And they can cut costs. Because it's all the brewery are done. They will bottle and make your drink and bottle it in store. You know, they do it all on site and they can cut costs. Yeah. So if you want to have an event, it can be done quite cheaply through them. So I had a meeting with them and they said, listen, we want to bring back Wobbly Comedy. We loved what you did, but you weren't given the support you needed at the time. But now we're going to give it to you.
Because where was it? And like, how long did you do this stuff before?
So we did 3 shows at the brewery. And each time the issue was it's too far out of town. It wasn't given the support it needed. It wasn't given enough advertisement, and so which is understandable. But and I kind of stepped away from it for a bit because I love the venue. It's such a beautiful venue to do comedy in, but it just wasn't getting the support it needed. And I didn't want. You can ask a load of comedians to come all the way down for no money or just a free drink and give it time for, especially when there's no audience. That is demoralising. So I concentrate on the other night, and I'm glad I did, because now Coffee One is one of the...
I've seen a lot of it.
It's one of the best comedy nights in town. I'm so pleased with it. I've had a lot of help and a lot of support to get it where it is, and I now have comedians wanting to come all over the country down to Hereford to do comedy, which is brilliant. So I've now just been asked to come back to do the Wobbly. And I said, well, I went into the meeting and I said, listen, this is why it didn't work, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And they turned around.
You've got to be honest in situations, that's what you can do.
Because they're not making any money out of it, and we're not, we're not going to waste our time with it.
Just in case, because it goes off a bit on sync sometimes. Okay.
Yeah. So, basically, they said, listen, we'll do whatever we can for you. We've got a separate team now for organising events. We've got our own team who does online social media.
What is the in-house stuff?
Yeah, they have thrown money at it to make the Wobbly Brewery, make the events organised, make the internet side an actual byproduct that will work for them.
Fully go into it, yeah.
That's it. So we're going to start up nights again very soon. What we're going to do is we're going to piggyback onto the night where there's music and comedy, because they've already got an established open mic which gets like 50, 60 people, which is brilliant.
Separate than the thing?
Yeah, it's on a separate night.
Okay.
So what we're going to do, we're going to piggyback on that night and squeeze a few comedians in to begin with, until we can build up enough audience, enough brand awareness.
Yeah. Just
to split it off and have our own night. But in the meantime,
you're going to do it like an hour or two after that one, and you mean?
No, it's going to be within around. We're going to have musician, band, comedian, music. We try and interwove it, try and make it a one night thing.
Okay. Yeah.
It has worked in the past with a few nights I've been to a point, so we'll see how it goes. But they're offering a lot of support, which is great. But then there's going to be charity dinners. We're going to be looking at getting top line comedians down. They basically said, listen, we want this to work. We're willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
Get us the best. Get us whatever you can. We're going to make this work.
Feel like a now, naturally,
That's
with
it.
people like that, yeah.
But before I didn't have that support. Now I have got that support, which is brilliant. But in and around Hereford, we have got some amazing new nights now. Obviously, the Barrels in Hereford is a great night. That it's just changed hands into a new promoter now. And
I haven't heard of that one before. The Barrel.
Oh, Barrel of Laughs is really good. It's the Barrels in Hereford. It's once a month, usually like the third Wednesday of the month. And generally, you get about 50 to 60 people in there. And it's a very fun night. The best thing about Hereford is the audience. They're so welcoming, they're so caring about comedy. They want to laugh, and they come out to these events, and they give them it all. That every time a comedian comes back from Coffee One comedy night, they always say the same thing, that they absolutely love the audience, because the audience are very interactive.
I think you did say this to me when I was at the HollyBush one time, when you first told me about copy number one, I think it was.
You got to remember, 20 years ago in Hereford, comedy used to be a massive thing. Everyone used to come to Hereford to do comedy. Jasper Carey used to be down every other week, and it was great. You had comedy in all these bars, and the room would be full of smoke, and people would be going around doing comedy. I miss those days, I really do, because it was proper comedy.
Were you around in them days?
Oh, I was around in those days, yeah.
Not performing, just sort of...
No, I was the young kid hanging outside the pub waiting for mum and dad to finish, But what had happened is, 20 years are gone now, and basically it died out. Now we're trying to bring it back, and there are some people in and around Hereford who all agree that we're going to work together. Alex Redmond, who does Comedy Jam, which is an amazing night to do, he's bringing it over from the Firefly in Worcester to the one in Hereford, and he's doing nights this month and next month to see how it goes, which is brilliant. Farcical Entertainment are still doing the Left Bank, which is a great one in the centre town, mixture of pro and semi-pro nights. James Ryan runs that, and he's been a massive supporter of me, and I'm very thankful for what he's done. I think it's Dylan Thomas, who's a Cardiff-based comedian. He's now taken over the Barrels, and we're all working together, helping each other out. That's the thing. When you come to Birmingham, when you come to Birmingham, when you come to Bristol, Manchester, there's such a hub of people with these nights and all that, and they're all kind of working together now, which is great. There's a lot more the platform's a lot more varied now, which is great. But Hereford is on the rise, it is getting better. I'd love to say in a few years' time we might even have our own festival. Wouldn't that be amazing? Welcome to the Hereford Fringe Festival, cider and comedy. I'd love it.
I kept hearing about the Birmingham one at the moment, but there's not an actual Birmingham comedy festival, is it? It's just a few shows where they call it
That's
festival.
I was lucky enough to be on the Kamikaze Nights one, but they did their favourite acts over the year. Kamikaze Club, Michael and Tom, they've been absolutely brilliant to me from day one of me starting comedy. They have been always that one on the side of the phone when I need to talk to them. I've bounced ideas. They're the nicest bunch of people, and they're the people who have been given comedians a lot of their first chances, and that's what I love. I do the same now with a lot of my nights. A lot of new comedians come to me wanting stage time. I love being that person to give them a chance.
It is nice, yeah. In the time when I was doing it as well, I had a few people coming to me for that, and had a few people on had their first gigs in that. In Your House one. Yeah. And yeah, I get what you're saying completely. Yeah.
I love that 99% of the comedians I've met, they're the most supportive bunch of people who are genuinely enjoying their career and want to help you as much as you help them. And then there's always that 1% who's all about the money. But it's fine.
I mean, if you ain't got the passion for it, this is not the profession you get into if it's about making money. To be fair.
If it was all about making money, I'd have been out a long time ago. It's not. I travel all over the country for a lot of my gigs. I go 2-3 hours up the road, and it turns out there's only like 6 people in the audience, and 2 of them are asleep. So
at least you have the availability though, because you drive.
I do drive. I am very lucky. I drive, and I have to drive to go to a lot of the gigs. I do. I get a lot of gig offers from like Manchester, Nottingham, Liverpool, around the Midlands, and so I have to drive. And I like the fact that people are asking for me now, which it took a long time because it reached a point where before I was like, I'm getting no offers here. I'm begging constantly. No one's looking me directly in the eye anymore. It's getting depressing. Even the wife's turning away from me. But now it's reached a point now. I'm getting a lot. The offers are starting to come in now to do like open mics again. I'm headlining shows now, which a year ago I couldn't even think about doing things like that. I'm going up to Mould next week to headline a show, and this is my 3rd or 4th headline show where it's been advertised, and
How long is that for? What kind of set time?
I'm only going up to about 20 minutes. So,
20 minutes.
I usually only do 10 to 15 minutes, but it's definitely things have changed. It's going really well.
Is there anything like you would say, from that time, from how it's gone from then up until now? Then is there anything you think that you did that kind of clicked you to that next point? You know what I mean?
No,
that kind of got you to that next level.
Well, yeah, I've had a lot of support. I've had the right people. But I was telling you, like Tom and Michael at Kamikaze Club, they always gave me a chance, even when the material wasn't strong enough, and they helped me afterwards. I found that with a lot of people. James, who does Fast Go Entertainments, he put me on in my hometown to get me that audience, get the fan base, which was brilliant. So, and there's always been plenty of people like Nick Page who've offered their support and help. And I think you have to, when you get started, don't get me wrong, we all have egos, and I don't need the likes of you helping me, but you do, because it makes it makes the material a lot better. So never be afraid to ask for help. And the thing I will say this, I got told a while back, and I work with a lot of comedians who are very first timers who had a bad gig, and I tell them, they're like, what's the secret? I said, well, the secret's this. It's what you do next. Simple as. If you want to quit, but you're going to miss out. You want to be a good comedian, it's what you do next. Don't give up. You go back, you redo your set, you go through, you record yourself constantly, and it's what you do next.
You just got to keep better and keep going.
That's it.
The issue is, that's one thing I've noticed, because I haven't been doing it that long either. It's been about a year and 4 months technically, but at the beginning I was just doing a lot of, once a month kind of thing, like you said as well. So I consider it more like December, November kind of time of the year now. But the one thing I've noticed is that there's a lot of turnover, there's a lot of people quitting comedy, a lot of new people starting, and the main thing seems to be, if you just keep doing it, keep to it, except you're going to get rejected a lot and you need to work on your stuff and criticise yourself, then man.
No, there's definitely...
And the people are great, like that I've met. There's some people, obviously, it's a bit political sometimes.
You're always going to have promoters who only book like friends of friends and friends and all that. And there are a lot of nights I see where it seems to be the same lineup every month. And it is a shame of that. But that's a very small percentage of it. It is.
Definitely.
I bump into a lot of comedians, and I tell you this, on the circuit at the moment, there is some amazing raw talent that you won't see on Netflix, you won't see on Amazon Prime, but they deserve their time. But they deserve their time, and they're absolutely brilliant. And the only way they go to the next step is if it's cultivated, if it's structured, if it's helped. But when you've got certain promoters wanting a particular style of comedian all the time, you know, they do get downhearted. Yeah. The amount of people who go to me, listen, I've emailed this promoter about 10 times. He's not answering me. And it's a sad case fair. Sometimes they answer, sometimes they don't. Sometimes you need to go to their gigs and witness and talk to them and handshake them. But it is tough.
If that happens, though, I mean, me personally, I just like, I think you've got to make them want you or have a reason to want you at the same time. What
makes you different to the 100 other messages I get,
Like, I think for me, like, because I wasn't getting all the gigs, like, I did a lot of stuff like that in your house comedy night. So that got me known a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
But then the podcast, though, more than anything, like, it's been great because I can advertise stuff for people, which is cool.
This is brilliant,
because it's actually getting an audience. It's fucking shocking. People want to watch it.
You've got a great audience kept building as well. It's a great platform to talk about things as well.
And now with YouTube as well, we've got the video side going, so
yeah, it's brilliant.
See our beautiful faces. Yeah.
Well, yeah, beautiful faces.
But it's great as well because you were saying about the main way, you know, to grow as a comedian is to talk to people, get help from them. I get to lean on people and like have a conversation with them, and it helps them. I think it helps everyone in that situation.
Definitely. I got asked to do a lot of mentoring a while back on a lot of the Facebook sites, which was great.
I can see it. You seem like someone that's quite...
I like to help people because people have helped me, and that's the only reason that I'm here. You know, I wouldn't have lasted 5 minutes in comedy without some of the support I was given. It's been absolutely amazing.
Same, and I like giving it back when I can. I think you're in much more of a position where you can because you've got more experience.
No, I've only been doing this a year and a bit. And I do the same issues that you might have. I have good gigs, I have bad gigs, but
you've got the right way of looking at it from what I gathered, which I think I've got too. But
you've got to be
someone ahead. You know.
Well, I'm definitely not. Trust me, I've been very lucky. I've had some very good gigs, and I've been pushed in the right areas. But there's still, I'm desperate to go on the Glee stage. If you're listening, you know, there are some stages I've been on it. I don't want to do that. But there's definitely some stages that people are doing at the moment. I'd love to. There's comedians out there at the moment who are getting a very strong push at the moment. Some are really deserving. Some I'm still questioning about. But
name one of the deserving ones. I bet I can guess one.
No, go on then. You tell me before.
The name that I've seen a lot is come up on this podcast before, Lavelle.
Oh, well, right. So I did a gig with him in Tipton, and it was like his second gig, and straight away he was nervous, but when he went on, he was brilliant. Yeah, very raw talent, and you could see there was something really special there, right?
He's more comfortable on stage as
well. Oh yeah.
I always feel that, like you can see that in a lot of people. A lot of people are like that, I think, you know.
And then I didn't see him for a few months, and then his name started popping up here. I did a gig with him at the Hardy Heart Club, and it was a tough night. It was a drunken night, and there was a particular audience member who just kept harassing him. But he handled it, and he went through, and he finished. And then I didn't see him. I haven't seen him for ages. But then all of a sudden, he's being pushed here, there, and everywhere, and he's putting the mileage in, and he's working hard. You know, he was supposed to be coming down to Hereford last month, but didn't because he got... And most people then they turn around and say, "Listen, turns out I can't do your gig." I do get annoyed, but then he turned around and he was offered a progression gig with Freddie Quinn, and I would have done the same. I would have jumped.
Yeah, you can understand it.
So he's putting the mileage, he's putting the work, and he's getting out there. And I do. There's particular comedians out there at the moment I've got a lot of time for at the moment, and they're doing really well. Like we were talking about Simon earlier.
Yeah.
You know, what's his last name?
Yeah,
we're talking about Simon.
He's such a nice guy. Man.
He is. I used to.
The way me and him met, like, which is.
Where did you meet?
No, it was just.
Was it a bus
it was over a female, like I said.
It was over a female. That must have been the weirdest threesome ever. We were like high-fiving or saying, Statue of Liberty.
For Simon, I would share my butter being with him. He's worth it. He's a good enough guy to do that with.
He's amazing. I watched some of his first sets, because he came off the comedy course, I think, and then I saw a few sets that he'd done, and it was really good, but it wasn't quite there yet.
Yeah.
The other month, we were in Telford together. He went on that stage to do something new and scary to him. He was going to do one-liners and puns.
Yeah, he was talking to me before doing it.
He went on stage, and he was phenomenal, and he was so funny. One after the other. You had like 80 one-liners, and he went really dark, and then he pulled it back, and then he went really dark, he pulled it back again. And he was absolutely brilliant. Him and Richard Newell, who's just stepped back from comedy, but they had an absolutely amazing night, absolutely phenomenal. And he's a face that, Simon, I'd never see him around. I only see him once in a blue moon.
Yeah.
And he needs to be doing more.
He does.
It's a shame. But, there's definitely some comedians out there. I talk to Doug Carter quite regularly. He's absolutely brilliant bloke. He's one of these people that, is he like this off stage? Yes, he is.
Yeah, he did one of my In Your House gigs as well. And that's when I first met him. I could tell he was the same guy on stage as off stage. He was the same dude.
I'm going to tell you something that happened to me, right? And basically, I've been trying to get him down to do a few gigs for me. And it was late one night, and Doug had a few to drink, shall we say. And thank you. he had a few to drink, shall we say. And then he sends me voice recordings usually because he doesn't like to type, which is understandable.
Yeah,
and I'm pressing play on these, and I've got there's 6 on the message board, so I'm doing one at a time. And he's telling me, I'll have a look into my diary, Darren, and all this. And then the next one is, hey Darren, you never guess what? There's these 2 cats outside fighting. And then there was a 60-second video of this recording, of these cats kicking their shit out of each other. And I was listening. I couldn't believe it. I said, cheers, Doug, for that.
Thank you.
But yeah, Doug is like what he's on stage, he's off stage, and he's the nicest bloke. And he's helped me out a lot, especially in the early days when he was first getting started. I would send him videos. Just, listen, mate, I know you're an up-and-comer. Can you just have a look and tell me what I'm doing wrong?
I see, yeah.
And he was brilliant in that. And
How long has he been doing it for in the same kind of time?
I think he's doing a bit longer, he has. Yeah. But he's been very good, and he had the Breaking Talent the other night, which went he didn't win, which was a shame. But we had some good winners that night. We had some, but it's a shame really because, like I said, he's one of these blokes. If he was to win, it would make me feel better about myself because Celia AB won, and all right, she's absolutely brilliant. I've done gigs with her.
Who was it? Sorry?
Celia AB.
I don't think I know that name.
Oh, she's honestly go on YouTube, watch it. She's brilliant. She goes and wins it. Well done to her. She was absolutely brilliant. Mary Flanagan was runner-up. Mary is... I've done a couple of gigs with her. I've done a panel show with her for the Kamikaze Club.
Did they do a panel show?
Oh, they do a panel show.
Oh,
brilliant.
really?
It's usually on a Saturday at the end of the month, the middle of the day.
Oh, talk to them about going on
for
sure.
Because it is a drunken mess. I had Mr. Badger doing the scorekeeping, and he was just brilliant.
I've heard this Mr. Badger guy, what the heck's that all about?
So there's a particular comedian who does a number of different characters. So one's the Punquin.
Oh, is that the same one?
You might see him at the HollyBush quite regularly. And the other one is Mr. Badger.
I've never seen him, I've seen him on posters.
Mr. Badger does a podcast that is absolutely brilliant, where he talks to what he calls scumbags, and he talks to other comedians, and they're so good because they are so close to the mark. But he's absolutely Donald Mackerel is the comedian. He's brilliant, absolutely. He does a night over in Whitechurch that is so worth a watch. But anyway, like I said, Mary Flanagan, she can run her up. But Doug had an amazing night, and but if he was to win, right, he's not your typical good-looking comedian who fits into that guy. He is...
Is that a typical comedian?
No. All I mean is, the ones who won the award, the ones you see on the TV at the moment, they're all young, good-looking, like yourself, they have this thing going about them. They're a sellable commodity, I suppose.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
But when you see Doug, he's the everyman. He's rough as they come. He's bold. He's with a beard. He talks with the accent.
Doing a bin man job.
Yeah, he's basically what every uncle was growing up. Basically,
I used to do a bin man job. Nothing wrong with it. That's quite a good job, to be honest.
So, if he was to win, it would make me feel better about myself. If an average Joe could win, one day I might be able to grace that same stage.
One day I should be just as average too.
That's it. But he's, like I say, he's worth his weight in gold, that man. I've got all the time in the world for him. But there's definitely some comedians around at the moment. You won't see him on Netflix, you won't see him on that, but yet, obviously.
Yeah,
but they're amazing. They are. There is some amazing talent on the circuit.
Really, yeah, man. I don't know if it's been the case. Well, that's the only thing. I suppose it's the same for yourself, though. We don't really know what it was like 3 years ago, so we don't know how much it's changed,
We've seen
I've heard it have a lot.
Oh, yeah, the past couple of years, I was talking about this earlier with another comedian, that past couple of years, we're seeing this huge rush of new comedians coming onto the circuit. But we're also seeing a lot of the newer comedians drop out because there's
the older ones or like the new ones?
No, a lot of the new ones. So a lot of the new people coming on, they're dropping off because it's a case of they can't get the stage time they want, they can't get the support they need. So it's a case of, especially ones coming off these comedy courses.
Yeah.
I have them in. There's one, James Crawley does one in Cheltenham and Gloucester, and they come off that. There's not many platforms for them to go onto, which is a shame. Yeah. So I have a fair few of them come over to Hereford to do something, which is great. But where do you go from there? You know, so you need the help, you need the structure. Where do I go next? And James does an amazing job. I have people asking me what do I do next, and I like try and help as many people as I can, because that's the type of guy I am. But you do have a lot of comedians who hit the stage a couple of times.
Don't know where to go from there. Yeah.
Well, that's it. They end up just going
a lot nowadays, though, at least.
But we end up losing a lot of comedians who are, like I say, raw talent, and it's just a shame, it really is. But hopefully with the right mindset, you get the right people out there pushing them forward, they'll keep going.
Yeah. Being a comedian's like, you hear about it beforehand and then you start doing it and you realise it's like a weird concoction of all these different things, because you've got to be like charismatic in the sense of like, if you're the kind of guy who's really funny and entertaining with your friends, you can be a comic.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you need that, but you also need that little bit of confidence in you somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, I display a lot of confidence, but I'm not as confident as people think I am. But at the same time, I have like a little pocket of confidence when it comes to being funny.
No. I do work with some comedians who, off stage, have zero confidence in themselves. Yeah. But it's almost like they put on this costume when they go onto stage and they turn into the superhero of Mr. Confidence, and they do absolutely amazing. It is a weird world. It is. Everyone tells me the same. You know, you have massive balls to go onto that stage and do what you do. It is tough. Don't anyone who says they don't get nervous going onto that stage, even after years. I was doing a gig up in Nottingham, and Simon Bennett was on, and he's absolutely brilliant guy. He is so funny. Scott Bennett, I just said his name wrong. Sorry, bud. Scott Bennett was on. He was, and I was going on a few before him. When I came off stage, he was there in the wings, and he was doing the same things like me and you would do. You know, we're nervous, we're pacing, we're going over our set over and over again, we're being overcritical, and we're nervous.
Most of the time more.
Yeah, we're nervous. And I was so amazed to see someone who's been in the career like 10 years, who is the next big thing. He was doing the same thing like I was doing, made me feel normal. Anyone who says, I have no nerves going to that stage, they're either lying or they're a serial killer.
Yeah,
So it's definitely a thing, it is.
Well, that's such a good point. I wanted to say that and just completely went out of my mind when you said that. Oh, what the fuck?
He's very professional, by the way.
Totally. I have so many things written down. Say. No, but it's very true, though, man. It's just crazy how we can kind of just come out of nowhere. But I'm like, I can't remember what I was saying before. What was I saying a moment ago?
About the nerves and all that.
Yeah. I can't remember what my original point was. But it's just weird, the more you do it. I mean, the nerves do stay. Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say. I don't know if you did this yourself, but in regards to what you were saying then about listening to, like, established acts and get nervous and that. Like I listened to a lot of and watched a lot of the YouTube videos, podcasts with like the comedians in and stuff.
Who was the ones you like to watch then?
Well, originally it was Joe Rogan, just because I think most people go into that.
Yeah, but he's brilliant.
My favourite comedian or comedy podcast, is probably Conan O'Brien.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I could understand that. Yeah. He's very good.
I really like him.
I love the extra bits he does. I love the talk show he does anyway. But yeah, I can see that.
When they have comics, have conversations, they talk about all the stuff like we're talking now, and hearing established people, talking about bombing, talking about being nervous. And he's like 10 years into their career, man.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was speaking to Oxy the other day.
I was going to say.
He's brilliant bloke, he
He's
is.
helped me a bit. Like, he's said things to me I didn't really think about, and it changed how I read stuff.
He is one of these people in comedy where he will help anyone out. Yeah. I've got a lot of respect for him. He's helped me out. He's helping me edit a show reel together. He's absolutely phenomenal. He is. And he was the one who was telling me about certain comedians. You need to get them down. And he headlined my one in Hereford, and the crowd absolutely loved it. Yeah,
exact same thing happened in my one.
He is such a likeable guy. And every time, he's one of these people, when you're on your phone and all of a sudden this watch party comes up, you know, and it's usually the same people doing the same thing. Whenever he does something on Facebook, I always turn on to watch what he's doing, you know, because he can be sat at a bus stop and he makes me laugh. He's absolutely brilliant.
He's creative dude as well.
Oh yeah,
he's painting that as well, doesn't he?
He's very good at drawing and all that. Yeah. So basically, I don't know why I was saying that, but basically the other day he.
Look like you were reading some notes.
No, I was about to say something really poignant then. No,
it's not just me that does it. It's not just me. It's in the fucking air.
It's the old designers. It's terrible.
It's being the old people place.
That's it. No,
the fumes from the Wii.
Oh, I was going to say something really good then, but it's just completely gone.
It'll come back. It'll come back. But I mean, all this time I never actually even asked you what your main like influences were comedy-wise.
Oh, see, I grew up watching like Jasper Carrot, you know, Rick Mail and Aid Edmondson, all like the old school comedy strip ones. And then,
sorry, how old are you?
I'm 34-ish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I grew up watching it. I mean, being able to stay up late and watch Bottom, that was absolutely amazing. So then, in years later now, I went and watched Lee Evans. I watched Peter Kay, and they're absolutely brilliant. I love the nostalgia jokes of it. But then all of a sudden, I started going over to America not going over, but I'm listening to the ones in America, and people like Fluffy, which is I'm trying to think how would you know him as? He's a big Mexican guy who is Enrique Iglesias, and he's so funny. The sound effects he does, and he's been going around for like 20 years doing huge tours, absolutely brilliant. There's some amazing comedians over there that are so just, you know, they're kind of way out there, but when you see them on TV, they do pull it back a bit. So it's really good. But I mean, just like ones in Britain at the moment, there's no ones that I'd say, oh, they're absolutely brilliant. I watch them all the time. You know,
British comics.
There's no, you know, I can't get into a lot of the ones like on BBC and all that at the moment. There's not ones I enjoy.
Jimmy Carr, I think.
I used to watch Jimmy Carr. I do like what he does, but I couldn't. It's like I couldn't watch a full 2 hours of him anymore because it just doesn't tweak me that much.
Yeah, and it's a bit overdone now.
Yeah.
Like not non-stand-up wise, as far as comedy goes in Britain. Like I love Keith Lemon. I was watching 72 yesterday.
Yeah, he's good. He's done well from that character. He really has.
So well.
You know.
So season 29 or something. It's crazy now.
Yeah. I love when he used to do like Through the Keyhole and things like that. You know, he's like this blue-collar guy who's created this character, and he's done so well, and well done to him.
Yeah, fair play, bro.
But comedians-wise, you know, Mickey Flanagan, every time I watch him, he makes me laugh, because it's a mixture of his voice and his character and his personality. Yeah. He does so well because of it, You
have people like that, though, that can just say anything and just make it like Jim Jeffries.
Oh, yeah. Jim Jeffries is brilliant, great Australian comedian. I watched his original show, was it Ideal or something like that it was called, and he did like 3 series and they cancelled it because it was too, and that was brilliant when it first came out.
Oh, the actual series. Yeah, sorry, I like his show now, the Jim Jeffries show.
Yeah, the talk show. Yeah. He's great. Yeah, I love what he does. Yeah,
his remotes are now great. But so you mentioned it earlier then, so because I wanted to talk about this and I wasn't sure if I'd be able to, because it would depend whether you'd seen it or not.
Go on then.
But so for anyone watching now, like spoiler alert for I don't know, for like 5 minutes. I was on about the Joker, just to clarify.
Oh yes. So
what I'll do for anyone who hasn't seen this yet, when I edit this, I'll put a little time now and skip to there because we'll be finished talking about the Joker then. So spoilers. Yeah.
That's good.
People will kick me in the balls for those. They'll send me death threats and whatnot.
So, Joker, right? So, Joker came on. I got told about the idea of that film they were doing, this darker universe style of Joker, about 2 years ago. Joaquin Phoenix.
Like Suicide Squad kind of time.
Well, yeah, Suicide Squad was good. A lot of people downplay it. It was alright for what they did. But
the Joker was cut out way too much.
What do you mean? Oh yeah, Joker. Yes,
Squad,
I was not a big fan of that version of the Joker.
It didn't get a chance really, considering how much Jared Leto put into it.
Yeah.
Loads of it got cut out apparently.
Oh god, yeah.
Hence why, by the time the film came out, it was like, why are you even bothering?
Yeah, it was a shame. But you know, we've always wanted a darker version of the Joker. You know, Heath Ledger set the bar, right?
Let's be fair, that was great.
Oh, what he did was phenomenal. He really was. But then, you know, Joaquin wanted to go a bit dark, a bit more psychological, which was great. You know, I watched the film, and you know, the first. I love this. Every scene you see on the build-up is like a portrait. It's such a great. The way it's been filmed is like an old Scorsese film. It's really good, and the music was absolutely brilliant. Even the Gary Glitter music that was when he's dancing down the stairs. Everyone went, "Oh, it's Gary Glitter."
Don't worry about everyone's moaning about.
Yeah, don't worry about it's Gary Glitter doing it. It wasn't like he was dancing with the stairs down with him.
Yeah.
But it was great, and the build-up.
They probably did it on purpose to be,
more controversial.
Yeah, that's the word. Yeah.
But the build-up of how he had psychological problems, his backstory was so well developed.
And his brain injury, that was the whole new thing. I hadn't heard that concept before.
Well, I love the idea that his laughter was a nervous defect, because I actually have worked with people who have that defect, where when they get sexually awkward or they get very scared, they start laughing, and it's a very false. It's like a twitch.
Like Tourette's,
It is. That's exactly what it's like.
Yeah.
So brilliant. So there was a lot of aspects in the Joker that I loved. You know, the whole nod to the killer joke. You ever read the comic? You know, so good.
That was one of the first animated adult films that I watched from that.
It was phenomenal, and
there wasn't that much about the Killing Joke in it, was there?
Yeah, there was a lot of nods to it. Oh. Not too much to the Red Hood, obviously. Apart from the fact that he was a comic, he was failing. I love that, because the whole idea of when he went on, he wanted to be stand-up, didn't he? And the joke, you've heard that joke a million times, haven't you? You know, when I was at school, I told everyone I wanted to be a comedian. I guess no one's laughing now. Yeah. It's been done to death. But I like that. I love the fact they played it, that you were watching it in his perspective, and then later on, turns out it was all in his head. Is the end of the film right?
It's crazy, isn't it?
Was it all a dream? Was it all a joke inside his head?
It was, because you found out the woman was all in his head. I remember that.
Yeah, because at the end he breaks into her apartment and
Oh yeah.
But then at the end,
I didn't think that at all, though, as it was going. Normally you can kind of guess that, but when it was happening, I didn't clock onto that.
No, well, that's it. They played it really well. And then at the end, you know, he's in this psychologist's office. Yeah. He says he just wouldn't get the joke, you know. And then it ends with him running with the blood on the floor and being chased and all that.
Yeah, that was a bit random.
But it's you're supposed to think, was it a dream? Yeah. Was it his own psyche telling you this had happened, or did it actually happen? Because I love the fact when he was on the talk show with who played the Robert De Niro, who played a great talk show host. He's done it before. Great. He was King of Comedy, in a film called King of Comedy, where he played the talk show, and they were taking the mickey out of him. And you know, he was basically, and the end joke before he killed him was what do you get when a society pushes so hard on a person with psychological problems? You get what you deserve. It was a great setup, great line, and it kind of said, right, this is me now. I am the Joker. It was brilliant. Yeah. So I loved. A lot of people raved about the film to begin with.
I think that was probably real from what I gathered from it. It's kind of weird because
You don't know what was real though, do you?
No, but he's going to be in prison for something, I guess, and that did happen in the comics. That whole he was on a talk show and killed everyone or something.
Yeah, but you like I say at the end, then you don't know if it was all part of psychological dream. Yeah. Because there were so many parts when you go back over the film, the girlfriend wasn't real. Was the stuff at work real? So I love that made me laugh my head off when he got the gun. And he was in the hospital doing the children's show. Yeah. Oh, and the gun fell out. And I was like, oh, there you go. Oh, it's a prop gun. It's a prop gun. You know, because in his head, the people at work were his friends. And they weren't. They were taking the mick out of him. The dwarf in it, he's absolutely brilliant actor. He is. Yeah. I love the fact that at that point when he
killed that guy as well.
He kills the guy and then he says, "Don't worry, I'm not going to kill you. You go." Yeah. So he runs the door, but he can't reach the door handle to get out. It's like, "Oh, don't worry. Sorry about that. I'll let you out." And it's like, "Oh,
it's completely different to him than the other one."
That's it.
Switches.
This was a standalone Joker film. That if you've never seen any of the Batman films, and I like the fact that there was no, you know, you had Thomas Wayne in there, who was like dickhead he is, but you only had a bit of a nod towards Batman. This was purely a whole new story for the Joker. Yeah. The reason why he became the crown prince of, you know, crime. But it might not have been real.
Is it really?
That's it. Yeah. I love the fact that at the end he gets taken out of the cab, out of the police car, you know, he's unconscious, and then he paints that smile on his face, and he's there with the audience. The audience he always wanted. he wanted to be seen, and now he's finally been seen. But then it cuts away to him in the psychiatry. It was all a joke.
You know what? It's one of them. I realise it when I talk about it. I need to watch it again and
you will
see it from a different point.
You're gonna have to watch it again and again and again. Because I went on YouTube the other day and it was like, there's people have put like an hour aside and done these films about all the little Easter eggs, all the little nod. And it's a bit like Inception when you watch Inception. Was it real? Was it all a dream? This is that type of film that's going to stand the test of time. And I think you'll keep going back to thinking, oh, I didn't realise that, and go keep it back. I think it was brilliant.
Unless they bring a sequel out.
I'd love them to do a sequel, but they can't.
Watkins said he'd be up for it.
Of course he would be up for it, but it'd have to be the right storyline. I think if it comes back and it's him going up against Batman and all, it's a waste of time.
Yeah, I mean, they could do that, though, at the same time, but it would probably be better if they did it where Batman's like, Gotham, where most of that's Batman finding his feet, but not Batman.
I like that.
Focusing on the police department more. They could do that, like, because he was a kid in it, which doesn't really make sense anyway, with a timeline.
Oh, I know,
But they could go forward like 5 years, 10 years even, and it would work.
It's one of these films I'd be happy if they just left it, just as a standalone film.
Yeah. But they could make it ambiguous still anyway.
Oh, God, yeah. But I was watching the interview with Joaquin Phoenix, and the bloke, it was
Which one?
Oh, it wasn't the one he walked out on. It was the one where they said, listen, and it was a bit, the bloke was quite geeky, and he was like, listen, when you were researching the film, did it take you to some really dark places? And Joaquin was like, no, I quite enjoyed it, really. It was a really nice time. It's like all the other Jokers who came and went, quite literally went, said, oh, it took me to a very dark place and all this. And then it was, that notebook that you write in, that's full of all the darkness and hate and all that. Do you still have that? Well, not really. It was a prop from the movie. I love that dry wit of Joaquin. He's like, you do know I'm not really the Joker. You do understand that, don't you?
Give a shit. He's one of them actors that he just doesn't give a shit. He can't be asked with all this like PC. I'm supposed to say this or this. Like, shut up.
But if you would never watch any of the Batman films and you went to the cinema just to see this Joker, you can walk away from it just really happy about it because it wasn't full of like when you go to see a Marvel film, you've got to watch like Free From Before and all this. You can go there.
They're all so good though.
Oh yeah, I love Marvel films. Don't get me wrong, but Joker's been absolutely brilliant. What a great touch.
One of the probably the best DC film I've watched.
Oh yeah. Well, what's it been up against?
Yeah.
Wonder Woman.
Dark Knight before that, really.
Wonder Woman was absolutely brilliant. I can't wait for the next one of that.
That was good, yeah.
Justice League I was very depressed about. It could have been so much more.
Yeah, but you can see the writing was on the wall with that.
Oh yeah, Batman Superman was okay, but that annoyed me. That
killed it, man. People can say it was just one scene. You shouldn't watch a film for that, but when it's that big of a thing,
oh, I know.
The whole film is based around Batman versus Superman, and they start fighting. We've both got the same. My mum's got the same name.
Yeah.
Are we best friends now?
But where Marvel have done something different to DC, Marvel went ahead with a lot of their films, and as the generations grew older, the films got a bit darker to a point, which was great. Yeah. They grew with you. DC didn't. They brought out all of these films that were quite, quite namby-pamby. Woman came out, and they kind of went a bit darker. Now Joker's come out, and I said, this is the darkest film they've done about depression and psychology and all that. It's absolutely genius of a film.
It would be just as powerful without it being anything to do with the comic books.
Exactly, yeah. That's exactly. We didn't want another typical Joker film. It had to be something on its own.
Sorry, do you want another drink?
Oh yeah, I'd love a drink actually. Yes.
I'll just leave it there. just leave this going. It's easier to just cut it out after.
Oh, me too.
Okay.
Oh, I've been tagged in some photos. What's this?
Oh, I tagged you in one.
Oh, I love a job. So where are you gigging at the moment? But when it comes to writing humour, he was actually a genius at doing it. But he would not laugh at his own stuff. He would he'd write it down and say, "What do you think of this?" And I'd laugh my arse off, and he was like, "Yeah, I suppose it's good." So, fucking give it here. I'll have that.
Like I said, if people their own biggest critic.
Yeah.
Which is very fair.
Yeah.
Very fair.
Lovely jubbly. There you go. Right.
You are very welcome.
I was trying to think of that thing I was trying to think about for Oxy, and for the life of me, I can't remember now. That's so bad. Well, we were talking about Oxy earlier. I was trying to work out. I was about to lay down some really good advice.
Oh, okay.
Nah, it's gone.
It was because he asked me like why I always go up like with a book or something.
Yeah.
Because I used to do that, and I said it was because I always used to change my set around all the time, so it never got in my head. And that's one of the biggest issues I have, man. Is like remembering and stuff.
Yeah.
And he just gave me the idea, like, don't keep changing your set around. Stay on one set and one set out and how you want it,
Yeah.
And just keep adding to it, changing it around
Definitely,
and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, that was it. Sorry.
It's stuck in my head a bit more since then, so it has helped.
That was what I was going to say. Cause,
I don't have space for notes, so.
This is what I was going to say. When I was doing a gig with Oxy, he turned around and said, listen, there's these comedians you need to get down to your gig. And I actually love the fact that he doesn't need to do this. He doesn't need, but he's promoting other people. Like you said, you've got to get this person out, you've got to get her down. And that's what I've been doing. I love the fact that people are doing that on a comedy. Not turn around and say, I wouldn't put him on, I wouldn't get him on, he's rubbish. But I'll go on for you. I love the fact that there's people like him out there doing this, because that's the people we want. I'm very proud to be a friend of him when he's doing things like that. That's incredible.
The only way that the comedy scene's going to grow is if we do it all together.
Well, that's it. When I used to go, I still go down to Bristol quite regularly to do gigs, but there was a time down in Bristol where there was a lot of nights on the same night, and they weren't working together. Yeah. And it was a shame, really, because each night had its own little special about it. But all of a sudden now, people are starting to talk together now. They're starting to work together. Well, if you're doing it that night, we'll do it on this night. So then we're not splitting the crowd, we're not splitting the audience. And
it makes sense that way, yeah.
It works.
You're not stepping on anyone's toes, and that way you can need to kind of like cross-market then as well.
That's it, yeah.
Oh, I just got a message back from that thing I mentioned. 1 sec.
What was that?
Okay. I suppose I can mention it now because I've got the confirmation good to go ahead with it. Haven't got the name or anything yet, but starting the 28th of January 2020, we'll have... I'm probably going to call it the In Your House Comedy Night. I might go back to that.
It's important to keep branding.
Exactly,
because people will remember that because it obviously references other things as well.
Yeah, that's the point, yeah.
And it's a brand that you've already started building, so
the Comedy Night, the podcast, exactly, yeah. Yeah. And it'll be a subside at the end of each month, so just the subside name on that poster, and you can advertise on here, so... You should come down and do the first night, man.
Oh no, I'm busy that night. Sorry, mate. No, I love the fact that around Birmingham now, around the Midlands, we're getting all these new nights. We went through, like we were talking about this, we went through a period where we were losing some really quality nights because they weren't getting the numbers in, and it was a shame. They weren't getting the support they needed. Now we're getting these new nights again. I love it. It's like a second boom again.
It is.
And what a great platform, especially for new comedians to get onto. It's brilliant.
What I'll do if you want is for any of your gigs, if you want like a advertisement ever putting on one of these, I'll make something up and stick it on the end. I like doing that. It's good to have an advertisement on there too.
Yeah.
You don't need to do anything back. It's just good having something on there.
I love it. Like I said, this is
my van too. So
this is the first time I'm really doing a lot of podcasting, and it's been a long day, but it's been an absolutely brilliant day.
Oh yeah, because you did the switch thing with Jack Harris earlier.
So Jack asked me ages ago about doing it. A mixture of a podcast and doing a radio show with him, where you and Jack's brilliant because he's so fun. He comes out with some really old school stories.
Yeah.
Today he had me and Lois Lavelle absolutely burst into laughter. He's so funny. Yeah.
When I had him on here, episode 7, he was just really entertaining. I didn't know that. I didn't know him too well at that point. Didn't know him too well. It was just a really fun conversation.
I met his partner Frances when I first started, and she's such a lovely woman. She helped me out massively. She was just, like I said, she was just this woman at a gig up in Northfields who just took a shine to me, and she's helped me out massively. I can't praise her enough.
She's a nice person.
And then she introduced me to Jack, and Jack did a gig that night, and he had some good bits, he had some bad bits, but he was off stage. He was generally such a funny bloke, and ever since then, every time I've met him up, he's done absolutely brilliantly. He's, like I said, he's another one who needs to be doing more. Yeah. He's got some really amazing jokes. He's got some really good sets that he's working on. He's definitely one to watch out for. And today I just had massive fun with him. And Lois Lavelle, who I was telling you about earlier, she's such a nice woman. and she's so funny, and she's just pure innocence. She just comes onto the stage, does an amazing set, walks off, and she gets all this applause. And she can't believe it.
She doesn't realise how good she is. Yeah.
And she just gives you a big old hug, and it's just so nice.
Yeah, I haven't seen much of her, just because it's just one of them. We haven't happened to run into each other in the same gig, you know.
But it's definitely. I would say go and watch some videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
Do follow. Like say Jack, I didn't know much about Jack until I bumped into him at the gig, and since then, every time he puts something up, I'm always want to see what he's doing. Yeah. So it's good.
Even another guy who seems to want to do. He's not just going around doing gigs. He's trying to do a bit more in the comedy scene. He's not putting on gigs, but he's trying to do like the radio side, like that, talking about the comedy stuff is, it's good.
Yeah, he started MCing now as well, which is nice.
I can imagine that from him.
He's a likeable guy. He's got that character about him. He can be deadpan, but he can also be a very likeable person.
And just talk as well.
Oh God, yeah. So I definitely keep an eye on him going forward.
I see like myself, like in him, like the same kind of stuff, because we're both like good with the talking in regards to like interviews and radio and all that, and then. Like, I know I could do good MC stuff. It's just that's one of the hardest things, I think, isn't it? From what I've gathered, it's just
I don't like MCing. I MC'd my own nights. I hate doing it. I know it sounds bad. And when I'm off stage, I can talk to the audience. I can have real good banter, and I love it. But on stage, it is awkward. But then I see some of the MCs we got going around at the moment. Octa, Douglas Carter MC, Jack's MC, and they make it look so effortless. Yeah. It's so good. But Jazz Singh was another good one. I was sorry, Jinder Singh as well. He was absolutely phenomenal.
He's such a nice guy as well.
He is.
He's a very nice guy.
Apart from that, he's a vegan. But he's
didn't know that. Lost all respect, dude.
No, but he came and did my gig, and he MC'd, and he was brilliant. And I've gigged with him a few times now, and every time he doesn't think he's any good, and I will praise the hell out of him because I know he's good. I've been on stage with him when he has just done amazing things. We did the Pup and Duckling over in Dudley, or was it Sully? I can never remember.
Sully Hall.
And he went on just before me, and the audience loved him. Every minute he did, he was incredible. So like say, he's another one. Every time I see him on a gig that I'm on, I know I'm gonna have a good night. Because he's that type of person. He'll come and see you. He'll give you a big hug, and we'll talk about old times. And that's what I love about comedy, the connections you make.
It is weird because I've always been someone who I don't make a lot of connections with a lot of people because I think
you're a very unlikable person. I know.
Well,
it's tough.
I'm a bit of a dickhead.
I tell you, we'll talk about this. We first met, I think, at the HollyBush.
Yeah.
Which is just the cradle of comedy around the Midlands. Everyone told me you've got to go up to HollyBush. It's an experience.
It's definitely that.
Oh yes, I love doing it. I'm going up there week after next to do it. I'm bringing up a few new comedians up from Worcester and Hereford.
I'm going soon again myself.
I love it. It's such it's a madhouse, but it's a fun house, and I love it. But I was doing a gig there. I turned up at 7 o'clock trying to be the early guy, and I didn't go on stage until about 11 o'clock at night. I think you were there, and about 2 minutes into my set, you stood up and walked out, and I was like, oh, bye then. Yeah, bye. You and then you messaged me a bit later on and saying, I was going to miss my bus. I really do apologise. But
I remember saying something back and I got a laugh on my response from whatever I said back to you. I remember that, so that made me happy.
No. I never. I'm one of these comedians. When I go to a show, I always get there early and I'll stay to the end and watch everyone. I absolutely love that. But no, and so that's when I first saw it. And you did your set that night, and you were because you talked about your kids as well. Which was absolutely brilliant, and you did really well with that crowd. It can be a tough crowd, but you did really. I think that was the first time we saw each other.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I mean, it's the only thing with HollyBush about it. Like, if you ain't got loads of material, you do it a few times, and the people there, or the same people that are usually there, like you always get like the comedians, and you get like the people that are there every time, don't you?
Oh yeah,
like that old high guy in the back who's like,
oh, the laugh, I know. And then Dave disappears off down to the basement to get something, and then he didn't come back up for an hour. So
Dave's a fucking character.
Oh, I love Dave. He's another one who's given me loads of chances. He's
a really nice guy.
Oh, he is. He messaged me saying, because I really wanted to be at Bushfest. He sent me all the videos for the past few years, and I loved every minute of it. I don't care where I am. Where I am on the sets list. I want to be there. Yeah. So he messaged me and said, "Listen, he gave me a few dates that I couldn't do at the time, and I said, any chance on the Sunday because there was Troy Hawk coming down. I think it was. He ended up cancelling, and it was Tom Stade in the end. He says, and he came back to me and says, "Listen, I'm going to put you on Sunday, but what I'm going to do is you're going to open." I thought, you want me to open on the last day of Bushfest? And he did. He put me on, and I went on a few acts just before Tom, and Tom went on and blew me away. And as I left the stage, I couldn't believe this. Tom was sat next to Francis and Jack Outler. Tom pulled me to one side and said, "That was bloody brilliant, mate. Well done." I was blown away by that. He stayed for the rest of the night. He watched all the acts, and he was just the nicest bloke. He really was.
It's nice when someone goes out of the way as well to give you a bit of, like, you know, sometimes you need that as well. Like, you're not too sure, you know. Like, comedians are very neurotic.
Oh yeah, but what a great review of someone who's been in the game so long. But we were talking there, me and Dougie and a load of them were out back with Tom, and Tom goes, "Listen, I want to do something special for you. Shake my hand." So I shook his hand. He goes, "Do you know who else has shook that hand?" And he turns around and goes, "Robin Williams." I said, "But he's dead." He goes, No, not now. He says, "When I was first started, I was doing this gig, and I was very nervous, and he came backstage, and he told me in these words, he says, I want you to be the star you want to be, you know." And he shook my hand, and it made me feel better. And then I went on stage, and this was Tom saying he just absolutely did amazing. He smashed it. So I was, oh God. It's like people who said they shook Frank Sinatra's hand. I was like, that's amazing.
I mean, that's very arrogant. I'm going to do something for you. I'm going to shake your hand because this
I
hand
can feel the energy.
This hand has also been around my cock as well. But...
Well, that's it. Yeah, it's like, you know what this hand's been doing? It's been having a whack. But no, it was absolutely. And Doug was there. Doug, he got some glowing. He turned around to Doug. I love this because Doug's one of these guys. He looks like he's about to burst into tears anytime you give him some good news. But he was there, and Tom goes, "How long have you been doing this?" And he told him he's been doing this for a few years. He goes, "Well, you're where I was 10 years into this," and Doug was just blown away by it. And it was like a comedian like that saying this about him.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to say. He could have just did his set.
That's the thing.
Fucked off, and that would have been it. No, but he was, and Doug's face just lit up, and it made me. I was actually so chuffed. And I got to be a part of Bushfest, 2019. It's on YouTube, by the way.
I got offered the same day. I got offered literally. You were opening. I got offered the literal last slot on the Sunday. I couldn't do it in the end. Literally, the very day I couldn't do it.
Oh, it was such a good day, and we had a great audience. Bloody kids, they ruin everything.
Selfish cunts, man. It's a ball like being loved.
But it was Dave made my day so much, and I was so thankful for him for doing that, to be part of my first Bushfest. And since then, I've gone and I've done. I did Lechlade, I did Strathmore. I have done quite a few festivals now. And things are on the rise, which is great. I'm still working my arse off trying to get the gigs I want, and I'm trying to get the name out there. Yeah. But there's these people who've helped me out massively along the way, and I can't thank them enough.
You got to get a new name out there, I suppose, now, because all the people who knew you originally as the old name.
Oh no, they are. A lot of people have embraced the Big D.
It works quite well because everyone who knew your old name knows exactly what it means.
So it's not that hard to work out. I do
a big dick.
Yeah, I do a lot of that in my set where I do.
Well, you do a lot of big dicks in your set.
I said, "Why do you think they call me Big D?" And the woman in the back, this little old lady, she'll go, "Because you got a big dick." I said, "No, it's disappointment, love. But I'll see you later."
Get those teeth out.
That's it. So it's been a nice transition into this new name. And it is really working really well now.
Just so you know, I am going to badge you for the Subside gig.
What's that?
Just so you know, I am going to badge you for the Subside gig. Or did you actually have a gig for the 28th already?
Oh, look. How awkward is this? Am I asking me live?
Oh no, if you can't do it, you can't do it.
No,
don't commit to anything now.
What date are we saying?
28th of January. Just want to make sure I've got some good people for the first 28th. Because we can get some.
Oh, you're in luck. It's my weekend off, so the Monday. My way of my working week works, right? I do 5 days one week, 2 days the following week. It's basically you work 3 days, you have 2 days off. You work 3 days, you have 3 off, and blah blah. Right. So I can do that for you.
Cool.
What's the pay? It's all about the money. No. Just remind me where it is again.
It's Subside.
Yeah,
Digbeth. Very central location, which is one of those things, and it's I'll have to work out the money because I'm going to.
Oh, don't worry about that. But
No, it's something I'm looking at doing anyway because I'm going to be charging for this one. But going forward, if it goes well, the first one, they said because they've only done it with bands before, they said they pay their bands, and depending on how it goes, if it becomes a regular thing, then they'll pay all the acts as well.
I love being there for the opening night as well. I was asked to go down a year ago to be there for the opening night of the Joke Walk or the Rope Walk, and it was down in Temple Mead, no, Bristol Mead, sorry. And you had George. No, it wasn't George Willoughby. It was Daryl Hepburn who was doing it, and he said, "Listen,
I recognise that name."
Oh, he's a model. He's a comedian. He's got a very familiar style face. You can't miss it. Very gravelly voice. He's such a funny bloke, and he's another one who helped me out massively when I got started. Well, I messaged him about a gig, and he sent me like 20 pages of open mics around Bristol that would have me.
Oh, was that a comment when you challenged on a thing?
Yeah, I think that was.
I think I used it myself.
A lot of people did. It was fine, but it was like I was so blown away by it. Someone like that took a lot of time to do that for me. He got me in and out of Cheltenham, a lot of the Gloucester ones. Can't thank him enough. So he says, "Listen, we're doing this new night. Come down to it." So I went down. I ended up doing about 15 minutes, and some of the material was rubbish. Some of the material was pretty good. But I was there for the very first night, this opening night, and the other week I got sent a message that they're doing their anniversary. I couldn't go to it because I was working. But isn't it amazing that you were there at the birth of it? I mean, hopefully, unlike my dad. No, I'm joking. You were there at the birth of this night, and it's still going strong since. I absolutely love it. I hear so many great reviews from that night now. It's absolutely amazing.
Which night was that?
So that's the Joke Walk at the Rope Walk down in Bristol. It's a great.
I like the name.
Oh, there's some amazing. There's some amazing gigs to do down in Bristol. I just did one the other night called Dirty Doves, which is George Willoughby's one. He's a brilliant MC. He goes a bit dark sometimes, but it's so worthwhile watching. It's not a massive crowd at the moment. It's building. But it's a nice venue, and he gives anyone who turns up on the night, he gives everyone a chance, which is brilliant. I love the old school sign-up sheets type thing as well. So, but it's definitely one to do.
Where is Bristol? Like, how far away is that?
If you jump on the on the M5, shoot straight down, it's about an hour and a bit down the motorway from here.
What kind of areas would be the same distance that you think, like, would Cradley, Heath be the same kind of distance or further than that?
No. So you think, do you know where Worcester is?
Yeah.
So twice the distance to Worcester.
Okay, it doesn't help me.
Yeah.
But far enough that I need a train.
What you need to do, like I tell a lot of people, is get on these car shares. I organise loads of car shares for people in and around Cheltenham and Gloucester and Hereford and all that. If I'm going up to, if someone messages me, like the other week, someone messaged about doing a gig up in Nottingham, and I said, I'd love to, listen, I know it's a new night, can I bring up a load of comedians with me? Because they would love to jump on this night. So that I would try and arrange carpools, and that's what you need to do. You need to jump on these. That's what is it Ethan McKinley and all that. He's coming down. He's doing a carpool down, and jump on these. This is your chance.
It's the kind of thing, I suppose, that it's more like just book the gigs and then just figure out how to get there after. Because I know quite a few. Most of the gigs I do, I seem to know someone that's doing it now. So,
but there's a lot of people like Eric Rushton. He doesn't drive. He gets people to drive him for him because he's that good.
I do enjoy him.
He's amazing. He is.
He's also coming on the podcast soon, actually.
Every time I meet Eric, he is a totally new character every single time. He's so funny.
Great guy, last I saw.
Oh, bloody hell, yeah. I did see that, yeah. No, he is someone, he's going to be massive. And he's been working hard for the past, 10 plus years doing what he's doing. And I love the fact that he goes on stages with these little props and doesn't explain it till towards the end. So you're there what the hell is he doing with that medal? And he really, and then there's interaction with the audience. He's headlining the night that you're going to be doing.
Oh, cool.
And I cannot wait because he's come down to Hereford quite a few times, and every time he comes down, I hear from people how amazing he was. So for the first time in Hereford, he's going to be headlining. That's what I love. I got asked this the other week, just why do you push these people to headline? When there's a lot of other people out there. Rory Jones had come down to a few of my gigs, and he's such a nice bloke. He
did his first headline.
He did his first headline.
Yeah.
He was very nervous. He did it, and I tell you what, I filmed bits of it in the night. He proved himself. He is a top player. He's so funny.
He almost gave up recently as well, didn't he?
He did. He went through.
I was really surprised when I saw that.
Nothing worse than seeing someone of his caliber step away from comedy.
Fair dues for owning it and coming straight out with it. Because when I read that, I put some long message on, because I appreciate stuff like that, man. Everyone's got a lot of mental health stuff, you know.
Oh, yeah. Well, we've just had Mental Health Day, and he did an update on there, which I thought was really touching because he wanted to update people on where he is now. That he is in a, he still has his demons, he still has his issues, but he's moving forward. And like I said, he is such a nice bloke, and he works so hard for what he does.
Yeah.
So when
as well, he was
when
every
he turned
time
around,
he came down a few times. Every time, he was just the nicest guy.
Yeah,
Really
so
dude.
When
very circular head. Very nice guy.
Well, yeah, I always look to see where the moon landed, but no, he comes out with some amazing jokes that he never uses on his set, but he'll put on Facebook every day, and he's one of these people who always makes me laugh. But he said about he wanted to come down to Hereford again to do it, and I was like, well, no, if you're going to come down, we've got to have you headline because I think that's the type of caliber you are. And I remember a year ago.
He cards, when he does it, he remembers it all.
He remembers, yeah, like a lot of punk comedians. I don't know how you remember so many, but he was going to do his first headlining about a year ago, and it fell through. It was a night up in Birmingham that it was supposed to be for this competition they were doing, and he was headline. And I felt for the guy because he worked so hard preparing for that gig, and then it went. But then this came along. I said, listen, if I'm going to have someone headline, I want someone who wants it that badly. I want someone who's going to work for it.
Who's really appreciate the chance.
And he did. He went on that stage and he owned it. He did a great set. And he kicked himself because he missed like 10 or 20 of his jokes he missed. And it was, but when he left the stage, he was so grateful. And I think he's one of these guys in years to come, he's going to be headlining more and more and more.
That kind of stuff is helpful to you as well.
Good,
definitely. That's really fucking good, man.
I'm always trying to push people. That's the thing with a lot of my nights. I like to get new people on board, and I want to see people who don't get their chance to headline. You know, Eric's going to be headlining a lot of places. I'm not worried about him. But the fact that every time he comes down to Hereford, he always seems to be over a supporting role, which annoys me because he could easily do his Edinburgh show, if he's doing one, down in Hereford. I think they would absolutely love him for it.
No, man, everything you said makes perfect sense because, like you said, the first time we met in HollyBush, you one of the first people to give me like a compliment in the comedy thing, and that kind of stuff helps.
So what did I say? It was like quitting comedy. You're in the way. Was it that? It's just not working. There's too many good-looking people in comedy. It's time to step aside.
Well, that's not the worst thing to say.
That's true, though. What did I say to you then?
No, it was literally just what you said about how you did good tonight, and just come down to Hereford because the people like you down there. Like it was just. A lot of people don't go out of their way to compliment a lot of people. And just hearing that from another comic, it's always nice.
I've reached this point now.
I like to try and do it myself now because
No, you do. Yeah. That's the only way it works. But no, I have a lot of people who message me on Facebook say, "Listen, there's this comedian I saw in such and such place. Will you bring him down to Hereford for me?" And I love that. There are certain comedians that they haven't been to Hereford before, but someone's seen them on YouTube. Someone's seen them at another gig up in Liverpool. Well, can you please see about getting them down? You know, and it's brilliant. I love that. I love the fact people want to take an interest. They want to control an interest on what they want to see on that night. It's brilliant.
Yeah. And just the fact as well, though, like that means as well that the comedy scene is just getting more, it's more and more known now.
Oh, definitely.
Have you ever done any improv stuff?
No, it's one of these things. It has always intrigued me because it does help develop other areas of comedy. Yeah. But when I first started doing this, I didn't have the time, and it's something a lot of my friends who are comedians have already done, and they said it's definitely helped them. But no, I think I'm at a point now that I'm quite happy what I've got. But maybe in the future I'll look at doing something like that. If it really does help you, then why not? Yeah. It's another quiver to your bow. I'm doing my first class on Monday. I'm doing it with that Fat Penguin. Oh yeah, brilliant. Yes. And the first one is free as well, which is cool. Yeah. Because I mean, I like a lot of my stuff now. I've got issues remembering it, but it'll come. Oh, we all have issues. Yeah, exactly. Such, but I mean, one of the main things I want to do is figure out how to bring myself out. I think I said it earlier when we were talking, like the kind of guy you are with friends, or especially when you're flirting with a girl or something. Yeah. You know, if you can be that person on stage, then you're sorted. I think. Yeah, I think that will help. I can see what you mean. Yeah, but don't sell yourself short though, because there are times when it's like Eric Russian, his awkwardness. Yeah. And he's very awkward sometimes, and then he's overly confident. It works really well. So sometimes use the things that you think are your bad points as your good points. Because I tell you what, sometimes some of your set that you do, you want that nervous disposition.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, you want that overconfidence. Watch Eric. Watch Eric, because he does it so well. Because at one point he's there, all tightened up, talking about, girlfriend left me and all that. And then he all goes overly confident by saying, he goes, I think I'm a 10.
Yeah.
Come at me, mofos. What are you going to do, like?
I saw him at HollyBush, and every now and then in the middle of his set, like, he was doing stuff like that, and he would just stop, and he would be like, Dave, will you get back behind the fucking bar? You're distracting me. I hate fucking doing the HollyBush. Fucking go.
You see how he goes? He goes from one point to one extreme to the other. And that's a craft.
It was the first time I saw him, and I didn't know much of him, and then I was like, wow, this guy's fucking good, man. He was banging.
He is. He's absolutely brilliant.
He was. I saw him the same night I met. Do you know Nathan Parrish?
Yeah.
Yeah. Same night I met him. And he was good as well. Like.
Yeah.
He was on the last episode, number 10.
Oh yeah.
And he came and helped out at the Vine gig we was doing because we had a couple of people drop out.
Oh okay. Yeah.
It was banging, man. I really enjoyed his set.
Oh good.
Me and him were lucky because I was on first and he was on second, and there was a lot of bleed because the room's so silly, like the Vine. Yeah. You got the back room, the function room, and you got a front bar room.
Yes.
We've been there. Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, I think it would be there.
Yeah. So
I headlined at that one, which was really
you had
awkward.
Long hair and long beard. Yeah. That's why.
that was a very fun and awkward night.
Yeah. We didn't have an issue that much of noise that night, from what I remember.
No. There was a party going on from the corner. It was like some woman's 40th birthday party, or it was a hen do of some kind, and they were making a lot of noise. No, that was in the room we were in.
Oh, that same thing happened this time.
Yeah.
There was one little group of loud people at the back. They were all right. They weren't being a dick. They were just loud. The one was a bit chubby, and one of them in the middle of, I can't remember what comic it was, threw a bag of nuts to them and just said, I can't remember exactly what it's something about your horny as fuck. Just keep these nuts in your mouth, and shut up. And they threw them back, and then Gerb, at the end of this person's set, he walked over and started eating the nuts.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then he went on mic, just randomly in the middle of it. He'd already done this set, and was just like, "This got to be the first lot of calories that woman's ever passed up."
That's good. I like
it was very just off the cuff, I did like Gerb, so, but there was a lot of bleed through from the other room anyway. This time round, so the more and more the gig went on, it just got drowned out. But me and Nathan were the first two, and I think we were lucky we got on before it happened.
That helps. It does. Yeah. You're always going to have issues with that when if people come specifically for the comedy, it's great. But I have done places where there's football on in the back, or there's other stuff happening that night, and it takes the shine away from it. It does. But it is getting better.
Yeah, I mean, you understand it as well. The people are out, they just want to forget stuff, and to them, it's not like something they'd even think about having to be really respectful. Yeah. You don't really think about. I didn't think about it that much until I was in it. Some random shit. You said you were into all your random stuff, actually.
Yeah, go on, hit me with some random stuff.
Random one first, actually. What do you think is the longest poop ever made?
The longest poop ever made?
Yeah, longest as in distance rather than, say,
I thought you were talking like a U2 album then. The longest poop ever made. No, okay, so we're going Guinness Book of World Records. Yeah. Okay. Completed one, I take it. Yeah. Not sectioned off, not crimped off and then come back a bit later on.
I don't quite know how they did it. The only thing I can imagine is they were crab walking, and you know how you would imagine chocolate ice cream coming out of the thing. They were crab walking along doing that, making a stream.
All right, so
I was second hand. I don't
I'll
know.
go by the feet, and I'd probably say 60 feet.
Normally people are way below, but no, not that long. 26 feet.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right. Why are people proud of that though?
I don't know.
When you read through the Guinness Book of Records, especially the weird ones, people are so proud to have done these records because they know no one's going to try and beat them because it's just,
The record is essentially created for them because no one's ever going to want to do it, like you said. And if they do, then you can probably beat it again. It's probably a stupid.
It's a hell of a pickup line. Oh yes, I'm in the Guinness Book of Records. Oh, what for? Most weight picked up or fastest mile run. Well, no, the longest shit. I'm very proud of it. There's a picture of me in there. You can't miss it.
Just
trousers down, thumbs up, like just going down the street.
I just don't imagine how they did it, man. The crab walk must have been epic. the fucking whatever you call it, walking behind him, measuring it as it goes, making sure it's all legit.
You feel sorry for the bloke who's doing that, the adjudicator, because he's like, I was in like Greece the other week doing the world's strongest man lift. It was beautiful, sunny. Now I'm in Liverpool watching this man crab walk down the street while taking the longest shit.
It's good. It's good. It's got any more fibre.
You have to measure it.
Yeah. You a gamer at all?
Yeah, I've stepped away from games for some time. Ever since I got Red Dead Redemption 2, which I was so in love with. I love the game.
Good.
But then I stepped away. I haven't found time because I got a young child now. I got Jack, who he's an absolutely amazing lad. He is. So I'm doing more the parent side of things now. And I always said this would be the last console, but Xbox 360 was the last console I was going to buy. And then I got...
For some reason when you said last console, you said that was the last condom I was going to buy after you were talking about having a kid.
No, but then I ended up buying the PlayStation.
Yeah.
And then people are now saying, well, there's going to be the new consoles out in the next few years. We're going to have new consoles. And I think I haven't got the time now to play it. I think it's time to grow up, and it's a shame really because I've had some of my best times.
Yeah, everyone kind of plays it. I don't think we're that generation, yourself included, where we've just kind of grown up a bit, and even if you go away from it for a bit, you'll go back to it.
I went when I was back as a student. I used to go to LAN parties over in Worcester, where we would go into this shop where there was like 20 computers, old style computers, and we would play Half-Life. You'd play Warcraft and that. For 24 hours straight, we'd live off energy drinks and crap food and drink, and we'd go 24 hours and see what we could do. And I used to do that probably 3-4 times a month.
I can think of worse ways to spend some time.
My mum and dad were very proud of me back then, But no, it was something I regularly did. I used to love it with a passion, And then, but no, I just haven't got the energy for it anymore. And it's a shame because when Red Dead Redemption 2 came out, I remember playing the original and I was blown away by that. So I'm buying this. If this is my last game, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to complete it. I'm going to enjoy it, and I did. It lived up to every expectation I had.
Yeah, from what I heard, I didn't really play the first one too much, so.
If you like GTA, this is it. Yeah.
The reason I bring it up though is, have you heard? Like what a loot box is.
Loot box?
Yeah, where you say like a mystery box where you buy something and you get certain things of this.
So EA are the typical ones for it. Yeah. I bought the new Battlefront and I was so let down because straight away you got to buy these things to get the extras.
Which I appreciate when it's a free game like Apex Predators.
Yeah, but
get that.
I've reached a point now where whenever you buy these games, you're buying this empty box of a disc in that has no to purchase all the extras. I miss the days when you used to go buy a cartridge, stick it in your SNES and play.
Yeah.
But no, now it's like you spend so much money. Like FIFA.
You have to update it straight away because the game's broken when they made it.
That's it. You spent there was a lad on it he was like 14-year-old, he nicked his mum's credit card. He spent nearly $1,000 on FIFA. People do. They go ridiculous for it. Yeah. Why should we be paying any more for a game? I got so upset because I remember paying like.
You're kind of proving the point. Getting on to here. So go ahead.
I spent $19.99 on one of my first games for PlayStation 1. Yeah. And I used to get so angry with that. Just, how dare they charge us so much? And then now I'm paying nearly 50-60 quid for that game.
Brand new game, 50 quid definitely.
But what I used to do. This was
somewhere.
This was years ago, right, when I had no life, right? Basically, what I'd do is I would be that guy at midnight picking up the Call of Duty, right?
Yeah.
I'd take it away, play it, complete it, get 50% off the next top game, do the same. I got caught in this ring. Obviously,
if it allows you to do it.
Obviously, I had no girlfriend at the time. And, I was wanking a lot at that time. But no, I got caught in this ring. I kept on doing it. It was ridiculous. But yeah, now you're paying like so much for a game, and then once you got that game, you're then paying more for that game. It's like, would you? Because when you see the trailer for it, you want to. Is that what it's going to be like? Well, it will be if you spend this.
Yeah. No. I mean, that surprises me though, because most people nowadays are really into the multiplayer side of games, and considering yourself, then you'd buy it, play for a bit, and say, "Oh, I suppose you're not that into the multiplayer."
No, you gotta remember when I first started doing it, Call of Duty, 1 and 2 and all that Black Ops, right?
Yeah.
The online was only just coming a thing back then.
Oh, okay.
And I was always solo. I don't want to talk to some guy in Japan.
Thank you. I've said this. When I'm playing games, I am not there to be social. I am there to play games, sit in my underwear, have a spliff.
Well, that's it. Yeah.
I don't want to
You're talking to some Japanese kid who's telling you to run a certain position, do this, do this.
Mama.
The most offensive Japanese accent there. But no, I
love y'all. Doing good in the rugby, even though they're cancelled right now.
But I'd done it a few times with GTA. And I used to get annoyed. I used to be playing these games, and all these people who spend their whole lives online used to kill me just like that. And I was like, what the hell's going on? Yeah, Make Love Not Warcraft. You ever watched the South Park? That was genius. Because that's how it is. That is exactly how it is. So I went, no, I love the story missions. They're brilliant. Yeah. I'm just going to play that. The new Call of Duty is coming out soon, and I saw the trailer for the story mode. So Modern Warfare, they're doing a new one, but they're bringing back some of the old characters. So I cannot wait. So Soap and all that from the original.
I remember that name.
So good. Yeah. So they're bringing that back. They're doing this one off, and it's remastered. It's going to look amazing. That's the type of game I'll probably buy and play.
I think Call of Duty 4 was the last one. Black Ops 4 was the last one, wasn't it?
That shows you how I remember playing Black Ops 1 and 2, and that was it. Now it's like Modern Warfare. I used to love the fact that you landed on Dunkirk Beach, ran for your life with a load of Germans shooting at you, right? But now it's all Modern Warfare and all this.
You want Battlefield if you want it. Is it Battlefield?
Battlefield was brilliant because it was. I mean, those bloody Germans are up to no good. I think we're at this point
Nazis.
now. I don't want to stigmatise anyone, but the Germans, they were just not very nice people back then. But the games...
I had a podcast with Simon and he roasted me for a bit because in the middle of it I was like, those Nazis are some weird dudes one day.
That's it. That Hitler was such a cheeky chap.
Such a cheeky dude. But he did have some good organisational skills.
Oh, there's a film I want to plug, right? Because there's a film coming out called Jojo Rabbit, right? And the director is the one who did for Ragnarok. He's the one from What We Do in the Shadows.
Where he's dressed as Hitler.
Yeah, he's playing the imaginary version of Hitler.
Oh, okay.
And he's basically this lad's imaginary friend about the Hitler Youth and all that. It looks there's so many amazing actors in it. It's such a good film. I cannot wait because it's one of these films that's going to be, in years to come, people are going to be talking about. It's going to be absolutely amazing.
Especially with what he did before that, considering for Ragnarok, huge.
I love that. I can't wait for him to come back and do it again. He's such a gifted director. What We Did in the Shadows was one of the first things I saw him in. It's it's about vampires in Australia. Watch it. It's a brilliant set. They did the film. It's on Netflix, and then go and watch Matt Berry was in the British version of it in America, right? And it was directed by him.
The British version.
Well, they had British actors doing it, basically. But Matt Berry, who he's such a good magician, and he's such a good comedian. I love the voice, IT Crown and things like that. So he played Venom.
One of the
long hair
guys.
Father.
No Fielding.
No. So Noel Fielding in the IT Crowd was the vampire and all that. But the boss in the third and fourth series was the son of Venom, and he was brilliant. He was. Yeah. But he's in it. They did a series about it, the Brooklyn Vampires, and it's so dry, wet comedy. It's so good. It's a must-watch. You got to go see it.
I can't deal with freaking vampires again.
But they take the mickey out of themselves, and I love that because it's not like New Moon or New High, whatever they used to.
Did you watch Preacher?
Oh yeah, I've just finished watching it. I was a bit let down by it. I was a bit let down.
I love the new series or just in general.
I've just finished the last ever episode they did. Yeah, because
because he died at the end, and he.
Oh, now you've ruined it. Spoilers.
You don't know who he is.
He is God. So it was really good, but it was a bit of a letdown because I remember reading some of the comics years ago, and the mythology of it, the stories of it are so big and massive. The cowboy is genius. The bloke who plays him is an old British actor.
It doesn't really make sense at the end, though. I didn't get that whole concept.
What's that?
First of all, as to why when Jesse summoned the cowboy by using his power.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He came to
Genesis,
kill God.
yeah.
He came to kill God. Why did he then turn around and start killing Jesse? Or was there something to do with his
Basically, God
his
always
family?
God had this deal with him
Yeah.
on day one that, you know, as long as you stay by me, I will one day bring your family back. And that's what he was trying to do. He said, I'm the only one who can give you salvation.
Yeah.
But it turns out Jesse was able to give him salvation by, you know, you tell me all your sins, deathbed confession.
Yeah.
So he then goes to heaven.
Oh, yeah, because he goes to heaven and sits on the throne, doesn't he?
And he kills God.
Yeah.
What a genius way to finish it. But
I'll put a spoiler warning on about half a minute ago. I don't know why I'm telling you now. But to remind me when I edit it, that's why.
It was good series. I just wish there was some aspects of it I wish carried on.
Yeah.
You know, the vampire in that.
I love that actor.
He's in a British comedy at the moment on Sky One. Is it Buskell, something like?
It's something B.
Yeah, but it's definitely a must watch. I got it on my download at the moment.
I haven't watched it, but
he's
I want
brilliant.
I really like him.
He's such a great actor. But yeah, I've been very impressed with it.
Somehow from loot boxes we got onto this, but loot boxes, yeah. So a lot of people are bitching because they see it as gambling now.
It is to a point.
It is to a point, but realistically, you could argue because I mean, it's not like they're getting random stuff like they're paying £10 and some of them are worth 50, some of them are worth £1.
Yeah,
they're all getting variants of something like they'll all get a T-shirt and they'll have a variant. They'll all get some skins, some mods, and there'll be variants of them. So they're not full on gambling.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Them getting bitchy about it and trying to ban them is like it's like saying Kinder eggs are illegal or gambling.
Yeah.
It is.
I can understand, but you could always say the same thing about the Happy Meal because you always wonder what prize am I going to get, and it was always the same shitty prize. Depression.
If they're gambling, then Happy Meals and they're gambling.
The only gift you usually get out of those things is depression and obesity, which I know about. So, but no, it's.
Well, KFC, you might get a date with a comic.
Yeah, probably best we don't talk about that.
No, we're not. Anyone who would care knows exactly what we're talking about.
There's a link at the bottom. No, I'm joking. There won't be. But it's. But anyway, moving swiftly on.
Oh yeah.
What's your next question?
So
professional that was. You don't get this on Jonathan Ross, do you?
No, you get the speech disability though.
And you might get touched up, but that's another thing entirely.
Yeah, or an answer machine message left. Have you seen the fact that China are banning that episode of South Park?
So which one? So I've just started watching the new series.
It's the second episode.
Oh, when he goes to China and kills Winnie the Pooh. That was the freakiest thing. But I love Randy because over the years he has developed into this character of his own. He could have his own show.
Yeah, he could.
I know he's not real, but in my head, he reminds me of every wild dad growing up.
He's
that
the
one
adult version of so South Park can still carry on being what it is without the kids growing up.
Yeah.
He's the adult.
But he always reminds me of that dad at the football game who always got into the fights. He was the one, he had a few drinks. You could tell he's been drinking. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. He's been drinking. He's trying to start a fight with the ref. So, but no, I love Randy. From day one, he just developed into this character. I watched it, and it was quite violent. I'm not going to lie to you. Him killing Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, that was.
He garroted him.
Like, dug it into his neck and everything.
So, yeah.
I was expecting fluff to come out or something, not like...
No, I like the fact that they're trying to show him as a real, actual entity. He is a real person. Yeah. So then later on in the episode, he's standing at the table trying to justify to his family, covered in in Winnie the Pooh's blood.
It's not what...
So, yeah.
I love the fact that he's a weed farm as well.
Oh, Tegri. Welcome to Tegri. With Towley. Oh, you're a towel. No, you're a towel.
It's good. Wanna get high?
Oh, he's such a... That's a series should have ended years ago, but it's just kept on going and it stayed relevant as.
And it's like, I think it was that episode, or it might have been episode 3 of that series, where they were episode 3. Yeah, it was the third one, episode 300.
Okay, yeah.
And it's just crazy. It's like they were only on 300.
Well, they only bring out like between 6 and 12 episodes out.
They make less than Simpsons a lot, I think.
Oh yeah. Well, Simpsons done everything.
Well, yeah.
Simpsons dead.
But now though they've been bought by Disney as well.
Yeah.
So they've announced all new episodes coming out. They've announced a spin-off series. They've announced another film.
Yeah.
And I was a huge Simpsons fan, so to do another film and Disney's backing it, I'm down.
Oh yeah, but as long as it doesn't go too far-fetched. I mean, the Simpsons film was good. You know, I was watching and I read Stephen King's The Dome, which is basically on the same lines, but a bit more gritty, a bit more. Yeah. So when I watched
Is that what Under the Dome is based on, the program?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, okay. It's a Stephen King film, and it shows what things would be like, and it went that way with The Simpsons to a point.
Yeah, it did. Yeah,
but yeah, it's still good.
Did you see Martin Scorsese bitching that Marvel films aren't cinema?
No, I only heard about this today. So there's been a few recourses back from that. I think wasn't.
I never really clarified what he meant, but I don't know what you think he means by that. You know, what you get from that. Or
you got two different entities here. You've got someone of old films and old genders. Yeah. Coming in, he's about to release that new film, The Irishman, which I cannot wait because you've got Robert De Niro, you've got Joe Pesci, who is so brilliant. You know, Al Pacino. You got these. This is like the Expendables of Italian actors. This might be. This might be the last time you're going to see actors of this quality together on scene. And Netflix have just thrown money at it. They've thrown it like shit against the wall. And it's going to be such a good film. The whole Hoffa story. Jimmy Hoffa is such a great story anyway. Well, yeah, because he was the head of the union who famously disappeared. And
I've watched a few documentaries on this. So I know bits of
the story. But there was a film done a while back by. Do you ever watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
No.
Do yourself a favour.
I've watched.
Go watch it. It's one of the longest running sitcoms over and about. It's brilliant, right?
I heard that it's better to start from the second series when Dan DeVito's there.
Dan DeVito, who is the funniest bloke, he is the funniest character, right? He wrote and directed a film called Hoffa with I'm trying to think who was in it, but he basically he produced the film. It's Danny DeVito film, and he was playing one of the side men in it, and it was a really good film. So they've basically gone away and they've updated it, and they've, and you've got Scorsese's own twist on it.
Made it more great.
Oh God,
Scorsese after all.
Goodfellas. The amount of times I've watched Goodfellas growing up, and then Casino growing up. It's such a brilliant. The gangster franchise is dying out now, but
it's just different.
It is. It's we got all these Cockney villains coming now. We got all these Cockney. I watched that Legends the other week with Tom Hardy, and I loved it.
I did like it. But I've heard good things.
He plays both Ronnie. So it was really good.
And he's a damn good actor.
He is. Yeah. Do you watch Peaky Blinders? A lot of people don't. A lot of people moan about it, but he's in it, right? He was killed off. Sorry, spoilers. He was killed off in the last series, and there was such an uproar. They wanted him back, so they brought him back. He got shot in the face, and he survived. Why? Because he's Tom Hardy. He acts the shit out of it.
Yeah, to be fair, I saw him in a film get his throat cut open, and he
that was
Lawless.
Lawless. I love that film.
That was a really good film.
Yeah.
And the whole story about Shia LaBeouf knocking out Tom Hardy. It was bullshit.
Of course it was.
But Shia LaBeouf was the one who actually made a point that it was bullshit.
See, Tom Hardy looks like he could handle himself anyway.
Oh, yeah. Apparently, what happened was though, they were actually all quite good mates on the set.
Yeah.
And he was in his room with some girl or something, and basically Tom Hardy burst in the room like he did sometimes just to play him up.
Oh yeah.
And he was completely naked, if I believe correctly.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And
what Tom Hardy was?
Yeah.
See, he's done this on a few sets. Yeah. On Taboo, which is a brilliant series on BBC.
Oh, I've heard about this, yeah.
He was walking around naked. This is Tom Hardy's penis. It has its own agents. It's like Tom Selleck's mustache. It has its own agents. It gets more work than Tom Selleck. So, I can imagine.
What was it in now? Yeah, Venom.
Oh, yeah.
He made that film.
It was good. I still feel like it could have been better.
Yeah.
But he did really well with it. Yeah.
I mean, as far as them kind of films, I can understand why someone like Scorsese would say they're not cinema. Because obviously he means like they're not, like when he says that, I think more like you've got blockbusters and then you've got like Oscar movies.
Yeah.
And, like Marvel films are very much blockbuster. They're not. Most of them don't bleed into the Oscar. I mean, the only ones that did, I think Black Panther got something.
Yeah, so you're looking at films like films that go for Oscars, they're heartfelt, they're tugging at the heartstring, they got meaning, they're multi-layered. And then you got blockbusters where they're after the money. They're after making as much money as possible with the advertisement, the toy sales. Star Wars are typical ones for all this. You know, the only time you'll see Star Wars at the Oscars winning an Oscar is for things like the music or the graphics, and but Scorsese does Oscar films. You know, he puts a lot of work. If you ever see some of the behind the scenes, he sets up each picture like it's a portrait. Like I was telling you before about Joker, it was very much Scorsese style because each scene.
It's a comedy director as well, which is weird.
Yeah, well, that's it, isn't it? It's incredible. But so yeah, I can understand what Scorsese a bit. I don't think he meant to come across so the way he did.
Yeah.
But Robert Downey Jr. has come back against him as well.
Howard Stern.
Howard Stern.
But no, I get it though, man. But I mean, originally as well, I agree, it was very much a cash grab, you know. But it's become some whole new thing to the point now where it's like Infinity War was one of the best films I've seen for a while. With
that one scene when obviously Captain America gets the hammer back.
Oh, about Endgame.
Endgame. And the screenshot goes through all the heroes. That was phenomenal. And just the whole fact that it was good versus evil, and it was the last stand. And I love the fact that he walked out on his own, and he was like, "If I'm gonna die, I'm gonna go out swinging." And then all his friends turned up.
How good Infinity War set that up, made it so that Endgame was a bit of a mess in regards to storyline, how it's put together and that. But it was always going to be because of how they had to film this in secrecy.
Of course, but they filmed multiple endings and multiple little things. I love that.
And they filmed all of it before, like all of Endgame and Endgame and Infinity War was all filmed before Captain Marvel was. So she played Captain Marvel in that before she'd even filmed her own film and really got to grips with the character.
Yeah.
And it was always going to be good just because of Infinity War. They built it up.
They built it up. With, Thanos, over 10 plus years, was being slowly drip fed to us as this badass. And he proved in Infinity Wars when you first saw him on that ship, beating up the Hulk. It was genius.
That was great.
But when I remember going to the cinema, I don't go to the cinema much to watch films, right? But when I went there to see this, so many kids were coming out crying their eyes out because the bad guys aren't supposed to win, Daddy. Well, they did this time, like that. They all disappeared.
I had to warn my son before winning because he loves Spider-Man as well.
That was so sad because he's like there, and it's like, I'm sorry. He's like, I let you down, Tony. Sorry. It's like Tony's his dad, right? But and then in the end games, then you saw what happened, right? And I love the fact that in Spider-Man, the new one, it was called The Blip.
Yeah, I do like that.
Yeah. I love the nods to that. It was such a good film.
And what was it? Because originally they called it the Decimation.
That's it. It was Decimation. It was the Snap, and now it's the Blip.
Yeah, I like the Snappening.
The snapping,
That was good.
But it was there was so many good scenes out of all of them, and I loved it. There was it's the type of film I can watch again and again and go, oh, look at that in the background, oh, look at that Easter egg, and I love those type of films that keep you thinking.
Well, that's the great thing about that as well. And then when you watch like another Marvel film, you can find stuff about past ones that you've never noticed before. Like there's so much. Like I remember when Endgame was coming out, people were like, oh, it's going to be the end of Marvel, and finally I'm like, no, it's not.
This is just the end of the next phase.
It's just the end of that, that saga.
When they brought on at the last Comic-Con all the next things coming up, Blade, I had a tingle in my penis about Blade, because I actually love watching it. So that's going to be brilliant. But there is so many good next ones. Alright, so Disney Plus is coming on soon, and you're going to have a lot of new shows on there. Loki, I quite like. Vision and Wonder, which is going to be great. So Scarlet Witch,
based in between Civil War and Infinity War, I believe.
Scarlet Witch and
some
Doctor.
of it's going to be afterwards, actually. And I don't understand how.
But there is some mythology that apparently
they could bring it back.
Scarlet she was brought back in because the timeline's not right.
Well, she might go to a multiverse, go be crazy, maybe bleed into a multiverse, take him back, and that because apparently it leads into the Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness film.
Yes, So, but there was the timeline wasn't fixed at the end of it, was it? Because they brought all their stones back. No, if you.
Oh well.
Yeah, because Captain America stayed behind, didn't he? He didn't give out.
He took all the stones back to where he was supposed to take them to.
Why didn't we see that scene with him and Red Skull? This is where you've been all this time, you cheeky fellow.
But someone made a good point about that though. Red Skull now he's been changed by the stone and that. He doesn't give a shit about all the stuff Captain America. Well, some whole new thing now.
Has he left the planet after all this? He now knows all about the other stones. Is he going to be? I can't wait to see who's the next big bad guy. Doctor Doom would be quite nice. I'd love Galactus to have a proper one, you know, because the Fantastic Four was such a letdown on multiple times.
The second one, the Silver Surfer?
Oh yeah, that was so bad. It's such a shame it was. But here's the thing, right? When we saw in Ant-Man and the Wasp, when they were in the microverse, right, there was in the back when we paused a certain scene, there was a city under the glass, right? And because in the original comic books, that's where Doctor Doom came from.
Yeah, it was weird.
Oh, it was brilliant. The way they did Doctor Doom in the new film, it was such a letdown.
Yeah, because it didn't even get the power at the same time as them.
That's it. It was such a letdown.
The new one was fucking dreadful.
Oh, I know. But the thing is, you've got so much information here, and they're trying to bring out the best they can, because whatever way they bring it out, millions of people are going to be pissed off with it, because it's not the way they thought it was going to be.
And it was Sony. Sony weren't as good at it. They're still not as good at it, hence why they were smart what they did with Spider-Man to get more money out of it.
Yeah.
They were just smart. It was just all... I think they were always going to do that. It was just negotiating tactics.
Oh, God, yeah. Tom, every time we saw Tom doing an interview, he wasn't worried. He knows what was going to happen.
He was the one that sorted it out, apparently, but I reckon, like you said, he doesn't do.
I was not a big fan of him as Spider-Man. I like who was the one before him?
Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, I quite liked him.
I did like him. Amazing Spider-Man.
I thought, why couldn't they carry him on? But no, when I saw the dynamics of him and Tony Stark, I quite liked it because it was like Tony was the new Ben, basically.
Yeah.
And I quite like that, and I love Happy's relationship in this one as well.
Happy's great in general.
Everyone seems to forget Happy, the actor who plays Happy. He's the original director of Iron Man. He's the one who helped restart this franchise.
He started it completely. Him and Tony Stark.
Yeah. And he needs a bigger thank you for what he's done.
He does.
I watched him in a show called Chef, where he did a film called Chef. He's done a series where he loves food. He loves cooking, and he brings all the Marvel heroes onto the episodes and to cook with them. And I love it.
Because I think they did a lot of it on location. When they were doing, but he still directs a lot of the films though as well.
He does, but he doesn't get the respect he truly deserves. You know, and it's a shame. It really is.
But he is damn good. He's one of those people that it wouldn't have happened about it. Him and like Kevin Feige.
Oh yeah.
Whatever you call it. Yeah. I think it's Kevin Feige. Have you ever heard of a thing called the Tunguska event?
No, go on, enlighten me. The
Tunguska event.
Okay.
So every like 6 months or so, there's an asteroid belt that we go near to.
Okay, yeah.
And every now and then the asteroids fall out of it. Any that come towards us normally get swallowed up by Jupiter because Jupiter's huge, and it does that for most. That's why we don't get many asteroids going past.
Yeah, yes.
But recently we had one going past that when there was one like 4 years ago that went in between the moon and us, about halfway, and that's really close. And then there was one that was like huge that almost hit the moon.
Oh, okay.
And it's just an idea because we have no defences basically against any of this kind of stuff.
I've read into things like this where some of the wild ideas they've come up to, trying to, the idea of the solar sails to go up and try and hook onto these asteroids to move them using the solar winds and all this. Our best option is to build a Death Star. I honestly, truly think that
they've come up with a really, what's a good way to put it? Well thought out plan that takes a lot of ingenuity.
Okay, yeah.
They've decided to get a rocket and fly it into the asteroid and smash into it.
All right, so we're talking Deep Impact film style.
Oh yeah,
we're going to go down into one of the cracks in there and blow it up.
No, they're just going to drive right into it.
I can't lose Robert Dafoe again. He's such a great actor.
Fucking because it wouldn't knock it, of course.
Yeah. But you need such a huge. Have we got the technology to get a missile to that point in time, though?
Well, the idea is that this would only be needed if it comes close to us.
Yeah.
So, but.
And what would the effects of a huge megaton bomb like that exploding into?
Wow.
Yeah. Because the EM pulse would black out the Earth, surely.
So in 1908.
Yeah.
I think it was 1908.
Oh, it's a bit before me, though.
Yeah, a little bit. That's what I hate, man. Fucking quiz shows and people are like, "Oh, I don't know that it happened before I was born." It's like, "Oh, yeah, you know." It's not like there's a thing called history. It's not like you can go on the internet and research this shit.
Well, there's not much on the internet, is there?
No,
It's quite broad-minded.
Yeah, and porn. There's porn too.
Yeah.
I love how someone created
99% porn, 1%, yeah.
It is. The internet's a great thing, though.
So in 1908, what happened?
1908. An asteroid. I'm trying to remember how big it was. This is the thing that I can't fully remember now. It was a big asteroid, but not
size
huge.
of Texas. I always like they say.
Quite that big.
They always say it's an asteroid the size of New Mexico is headed for. It's like, really? I want you to put on. It's the size of the Isle of Wight. It's like, oh, that's a shame. I quite like the Isle of Wight.
I mean, how big is the Isle of Wight? It's not that big, is it?
Oh, it's big enough. It took me. I walked around, did the coastal walk, and it took me 4 or 5 days to do.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's beautiful, beautiful place to go.
I was right about the year release. I'm just getting the thing up to check it because I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Well, you don't want to lie to your fans.
Yeah, man.
He's spouting fake news. Fake news here.
I am not just a comedian for you all. I am also a teacher. And I am here to teach you about the world.
And how it's going to end. Yes.
I can't find the size of it. Why don't I say how big it is? Anyway, it was a big one anyway.
Yeah.
And it blew up. It was on its way into the atmosphere. No one saw it. And it blew up over... It was in Serbia, I believe.
Well, we've had a few.
Sorry.
We had that one a while back that happened. People driving. We saw the videos. People driving in Russia, and it shook the windows, and that was a hell of. That's scary to see.
That was much smaller. I know that. This one happened in 1908, and basically it never hit the surface, blew up in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
But with such power that it flattened a size of California.
Oh wow!
California, sorry. It just happened to be above a forest.
Yeah.
And basically, this is what I'll put a picture on for the thing for you guys watching. But this is what it looked like in the end, though, just to give you an idea of what it can do. So it was like huge areas flattened down. That's what it looks like today. It still hasn't grown back.
Yeah, that's incredible.
That's the size of California. It just happened to be, like above a huge forest. It was fucking crazy, though, man. Like
that's amazing. That is.
Back in 1908, imagine what they must have thought was happening.
Well, that's it. It's like end of the world scenario, isn't it? That's incredible.
It's unreal, isn't it? And this is the kind of stuff that can happen at any moment. And another reason why I bring it up is because the one I said that went in between Earth and the Moon.
Yes, yeah.
We didn't know about that until after.
Well, that's it. I think we do know. NASA know more than they're letting on a lot of the time, I think.
This is what I
but
said
it's mass panic. Why would you want to tell the world's about to end? I'd rather not know and then just look up one day, oh, bloody hell, that's it.
They've got the power to see these asteroids because they can see planets that are ridiculously far away. Hence why we know that there has to be aliens because we can see these planets that are exactly the same setup as our planet, so there's nothing special about us.
There's the Goldilocks zone, which I love when they talk about it, because it's selfish to say.
Knowing where to look is the issue.
Yeah, it's selfish to say we're the only ones in this universe. What a waste of time that would be. There's a lot of people on the planet I can't even stand. To know that there's people on another planet
that I have to hate as well.
No, I love things like that.
Yeah, man, it's just. Another random thing, did you know that Antarctica is the largest and driest desert in the world? Or has the largest and driest desert in the world?
I didn't know about the driest, because obviously where it's ice, dry ice.
Oh, yeah, but these are like the outside, the middle of it. Yeah. It's like an area that hasn't rained for millions of years, apparently. Yeah. And it's ridiculously arid. Like, you can see when they showed it, like, still cold. Yeah. But there was just nothing. The dust was just like... everywhere.
I do like the fact that in a few years' time, the licensing for a lot of the areas in Antarctica and all that are coming up. So drillers and all that are going to be going in there, drilling for oil and whatnot. And there's huge, vast areas underneath the ice that could hold a lot of history for us. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. Like
there's was it Greenland? I think it was where they've discovered that they think they might have discovered the impact zone from where the meteor that killed the zombies. The meteor that killed the dinosaurs.
See there was always that one in New Mexico, that we always fought. But wouldn't that be amazing to know that perhaps it's happened a few times? Perhaps we're on this living cycle where eventually it comes back.
Well, it seems very.
And why isn't God helping us? You know, where is he?
Yeah.
Where is he with that massive baseball bat to knock him away? You know, he's just too busy.
I fully believe I am of the. Yeah, I think I'm of the belief now that the majority of religious stories and religious beliefs comes from, if anything, if there's any truth in it at all, which I could very much believe there isn't, just people getting high, but if there is any truth in it whatsoever, it comes from aliens, if anything.
Like, I don't know about that. I don't know. The Bible, to me, is this game of Chinese whispers that's just got way out of hand. Yeah. You know, it started off with a bloke called Jep, who was a very good carpenter. Maybe not even a carpenter. He might have just put up a shelf once in a while. Yeah. He was a really nice guy. Went out, did a bit of cooking for the local homeless people, and then over the years, the story's been told again and again and again. And like I said, Chinese whispers.
But you know the official story of the official story of how he turned water into wine.
Go on then.
He added all these circumcised foreskins into a jar of water and said, "See, it has turned red. I have created a miracle."
Oh, we've all been there at that party when someone's tried to do that.
But normally we're okay with it. What are you doing?
You know, I love a cocktail as much as the next person.
No.
But no, I just think it's. I grew up in a household where we would go to Sunday school.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I've been a big believer in a long time. I hate saying I'm a big believer in that there is no God. I'm a big believer that I think it's everyone's right to believe what they want to believe. Yeah. But what I won't stand for is you knocking on my door at 7 o'clock on a Sunday morning with your whole family all dressed up, or, you know, telling me that we want to bring God into your household. Yeah. Well, God can fuck off at the moment. I'm very tired. I worked last night. I want to go to sleep.
They don't want to bring him into your house. I don't want you to have to get up and go to his house.
That's it.
Lazy fucking God.
Oh. So I tell him, listen, God's everywhere, and he's just told me you guys need to grow up and fuck off. You know, so. But we used to have all the time in the villages where I used to live. They would turn up in this bus. All the families would get out. Even the babies would be dressed in all like the community, and they'd go around. How can you say no to a child? Quite easily by slamming the door.
Very easily.
Yeah. I don't push me. I mean, it's like me reading Harry Potter and then going around the streets beating people up with their book of Harry Potter. This is your new faith. It shouldn't be the case. Well, that's it. It shouldn't be that case. You know, if it's your religion and it's something you believe in, good for you. I got nothing against it. That's what you believe in. Great. But don't try and get other people. I mean, it's just not right.
I find it quite upsetting about how many people live their life by this bullshit and they're missing out on so much stuff.
But it's what they believe in. If that's the...
Yeah, but some people believe that immunisations are wrong, and, you know, people believe that the earth is flat. You can't help people being dumb.
Yeah, but even the modern church now is starting to change its beliefs on things they would die hard against, like pork and, you know, fish and all that. Yeah. Gay marriage, yeah. Years ago, you weren't allowed to be gay. It was imprisoned and killed and all that. Now, I think it's a modern church. It is changing its values because the world is changing, and if you don't change with it, you get left out, don't you?
It kind of defeats the object of that religion. It proves how bullshit it was, though, considering they're happy to change it.
That's it. Yeah. Well, I'm a great believer that if you truly love someone, it doesn't matter who they are, sex, gender, whatever it is, if it's a pot plant at work, if you truly love, and that's the person or thing that makes you happy, then you have every right to be with that thing, okay? As long as it's of legal age.
And
all right, and
as long as it's not an inanimate object, which is something that I've seen become a thing now, like this woman who's fucking a roller coaster.
Yeah, I watched a bit of that, yes. And it was she was lying on the floor, like, holding it and kissing it, and she'd go there every day. But if that's what makes her happy and it's not affected any other people, then you go right ahead.
As long as she's not fucking get wild as kids walking around the theme park.
I tell you a film I just watched. I just watched Elton John's film.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Rocket Man. And I loved it. I don't know if it's all based on truth or whatnot, but I tell you what, it shows what it was like back then for him to be coming out as gay and to face the things he did. And then you see how it is nowadays. We are of a group of people now. We are a lot more accepted. There are some areas that people aren't, don't get me wrong. But we are so more open to sexuality now, which I actually love. Much. You know, I got quite angry the other week when a comedian put up on Facebook that she was transgender, basically, and she was asked to leave the changing rooms of a very well-known clothing outlets. And I was actually discussing it in this modern time. You know, the same company that openly advertises that they are models of all shapes and sizes and all genders. Well, they got kicked out of the changing rooms because they were transgender. And they didn't
changing room like something you go to on your own anyway.
Well, that's the thing. She was trying on dresses. Right.
So the guy who is now a girl.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, she's a comedian, absolutely lovely person, and I've gigged with her many times. And then she put up on Facebook about this.
Do you know the person?
Darcy. Yeah. I don't know if you.
I know. I know.
And
I don't think I've met her. But...
She's a lovely person. And when I thought, how far are we in the dark age when this has happened? You know, it's absolutely ridiculous. So she got really upset, and then. She complained.
Sense, yeah.
Well, she complained. She did. Everyone's like, "You've got to say something." Because if you don't say anything, these people win. They get away with it. So she went away. She sent her, and they apologized. They sorted the issue out. They offered her, some vouchers, some personal shopping, and I like that. But the fact that there are still some people out there that think this way, that's the people we need to be fighting.
Yeah, that way doesn't even make sense. Like what the logic is, because like I said, as far as I know, you go into a changing room and you've got your own cubicle essentially, saying you can't come in because they don't even have segregate. Well, I suppose they have men and women's ones.
Well, I think that was the case, isn't it? She went to the women's one.
Yeah.
But it's sad. It really is.
It is one of those. I mean, the thing is though, it is something that needs to be acknowledged now because. Where does someone like that go? Because I mean, like, obviously that's a bit of it's like picky battles, like in regards to the clothing companies. Like, that's not a huge thing. But then you see like men that transition into women, and then go into like women's powerlifting sports and things like that, and it's like that's not really fair.
Okay.
Because there is just a difference between men and women. It's as much as people like to make it, there isn't. There is a difference. Like men are naturally physically stronger. That's how we've evolved.
Obviously, I disagree with you on that one, only because I don't want to get beaten up later. But no,
on average, not always. There's exceptions.
Men over a long period of time are being conditioned to be the gatherers and hunters, all that.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, there are women out there now who are putting us to shame.
Oh yeah, there's exceptions.
And I see these people in like the Olympics. I was watching the Special Olympics, and I love that because these people have been told all their lives they can't do this, can't do that.
Yeah.
And then they go and run the 100 meters in a lot faster time than I could ever do.
Yeah.
And they were absolutely incredible, and I was blown away. The person who made me, Johnny Vegas. He was doing. He was at the Special Olympics. He was to the one side, and he was there supporting a load of these people, a load of the British athletes. And every time they won, he was the first one there giving a big hug. I love that.
Doing good for
them. He's now an ambassador for it, and I love that about him. So I can understand what you're saying. But I think you have to judge each case as it comes.
Yeah.
But I do like the fact that in years to come,
need it uniformed as well, though.
Well, no, I don't think it's a case of you shouldn't uniform anything really because
sporting. I mean, because I know what you mean, but
I think in years to come it's going to be more open to everything, and the competitions will be changed to make it all more for everyone. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, it's a tough subject.
I'm personally, I'm the belief anyone. Do what you want to do. If it makes you happy, if you want to do it, if it's not harming anyone else,
that's it.
If you're an adult as well,
yes,
then do it.
Yeah.
Because there's too much I hear about kids that are going on hormone changing things. It's You're not old enough to say get a tattoo. You're old enough that when you don't know who you are to make a decision about whether you're a guy or a girl.
Yeah.
So that straight away is crazy.
It's happening more and more now. It is.
But that shouldn't happen until they're at least of age.
I think you have to have an understanding before you can say, listen, from now on, I want you to call me by this name. I want to be called by this gender. You have to have an understanding. You can't just flip-flop from it. So I am seeing it more and more where people are being re-educated about it, which I love. The fact that that's out there now. Because years ago, if you were to turn to me and say, listen, for now on, I'm going to be a woman.
Yeah.
It's a lack of understanding that causes the hate a lot of the time.
Yeah. If one of my sons wanted to be referred to as a girl and wanted to do that whole thing, felt like it, I'd be like, yeah, that's fine. I'll call you a girl or refer to whatever name you want, but you're not doing any of the physical stuff until you're well, I'd say 21, but obviously 18 is the age.
That's it. When you, I can understand that. Yeah.
But the only issue I have with it though is I think that a lot of people have this because it is like a mental health issue. Of course, it is.
What do you mean by a mental health issue? This is going really like we're going to a really political side now. What do you mean by mental health?
Because you have this feeling that you're not in the right body that you should be. So you feel like you're in the wrong body.
So yes, I understand what you're saying. Yes.
And you get like depression because of it.
Yeah.
But the only thing is, when you look at like the statistics, the same amount of people commit suicide before pre-operation as do post-operation. So it's not a quick fix like everyone thinks it is. And I think too many people jump in it too quickly. It's a quick fix. There's plenty of people out there that are fully legit. Like really are.
Yeah.
That's why it's become a thing. It's because the people out there that fully are and they know they are. But too many people, I think, jump into it nowadays without really putting the thought into it.
No, I can understand that.
That's all it is. And that's only because I think anything when it blows up a bit, becomes more of a thing.
Yeah.
You just get people piggyback on it. And like I've talked to like transgender people that have been like it for like 5 years or so, that agree with that, that say that now it's become a thing that's trying to take away from the actual. And it does. Yeah. It's just one of them things, though,
No, definitely.
Yeah.
Next political topic.
No, that's all.
Let's sort out Syria. Come on.
Did you see that Ari Shafir got drugged by? Bert Kreischer got drugged by Ari Shafir.
No, I don't know anything about that. Okay.
Just before they did a sober October, he decided to drug him with Molly, like for a podcast, and he just got bitchy about it. I'm not surprised. Have you ever been on anything like that?
No. Oh. I've never done drugs.
Really?
I grew up in a culture where a lot of my friends were trialing drugs and doing that. I never saw the need. Because I tell you what, I never had the money growing up to go buy drugs. I don't know how you lot did it, so I don't mean you lot, by the way.
I have a joke like that on my set that everyone all my life has always thought that I'm talking about being a simple guy. Yeah. Everyone all my life has always thought that I'm on something.
Yeah.
I could take that quite badly, but to me, I'm just quite flattered that people think I have enough money to be a drug addict.
That's it, yeah. I honestly don't. I missed out on that. But there are things now, things like cannabis oils and things like that. I definitely want to research more into that, because if that has the healing help that it's what I'm seeing on YouTube and Facebook, then this is something we need to be looking more into. But yeah, it's definitely. I'm not going to go home now and just smoke a massive spliff, but it's definitely in years to come when it is more of a mainstream thing. Definitely,
it's getting there.
I wouldn't say no to it.
America's like there now, basically.
So many states are opening up, and I love the way they're doing it.
It's legal in every state now, not for recreation in every state. Yeah. But I think it's illegal in all states now. There might be I might be wrong.
Well, that's the future, isn't it? Yeah.
Last bit of random knowledge I'll throw you, because I realise it's been quite long and I'm sorry to keep it so long.
No, it's alright.
It's a nice easy chat, to be honest.
No, I've quite enjoyed this.
Yeah, man. Something that I thought was quite funny. The man who created and developed Match.com ended up losing his girlfriend because she met someone new on Match.com.
Well, I quite like that, That is
real endorsement.
That's great, So basically, did he meet her on Match himself, or did he meet her
pre-existing girlfriend?
So he meets this girl, and straight away, they get on her house on fire, and she's like, "Well, what do you do for them?" Well, funny enough, I'm the inventor, the entrepreneur behind Match.com. Why don't you have a look? And he started showing, and she was like flipping through, from bloody hell, there's some more attractive guys out here. Fucking hell. So, for her to then go on, create surely one of his underlings said, "Listen, you know that girl you're seeing? She's just signed up for a 6-month course on Match.com. Oh, yeah. Should you be concerned about that?" He must have knew.
I think he asked her. I think that was actually it. He asked her to go on to try it out for him.
Oh, there you are.
I actually think that was part of it. Yeah.
It's like me saying to my mate, "Listen, I know you've been with that girl for like 10 years. Just go to Amsterdam and sleep with a few prostitutes. Just see what it's like, And if you come back a different person, so be it."
It's like it reminds me of someone I can actually throw a wrestling reference to.
Yeah.
Chris Benoit.
Oh God, yeah. The name you're not allowed to use in wrestling.
Yeah. The Enigma. Like back when he was in WCW, there was this wrestler, Kevin Sullivan.
I do remember his name, but not so much his career.
Yeah, he's not that big. But he was also a booker in WCW at the time.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And he made a storyline where, at the time, his manager was his real life wife.
Okay, yeah.
And he made a storyline where his wife cheated on him and got with Chris Benoit.
Yeah.
And that was pure storyline. And then a few months down the road, it became real life.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's exactly the same example of that,
Yeah.
And that was the one. I think that was the one he ended up killing.
Well, there's a lot of mythology about that. There's also there's some truths and there's some lies there. There is, if you look into the Chris Benoit incident.
I did a lot of research and I wrote a script on it for.
Did you ever listen to some of the last answer phone messages that was sent?
I think I did.
And he was quite sound of mind towards the end, but there were some other messages that were quite dark.
Yeah.
I mean, was it true about him injecting his son with steroids and his wife steroids and then eventually himself? There was a lot of.
I don't know. I heard he smuggled his child.
Bloody hell, this has gone down very quickly. But
you're right. Yeah, no, we can talk about anything right now. Most people won't see it.
Oh, cheers!
Not at the end. Most people.
I've sat here for 2.25, 3/4 hours, and no one's gonna watch.
That's why we have the clips now, because people find it a lot easier to watch little snippets. I find I think that's going to go well. The clip pirate.
I love Chris Benoit when he first came over to WWF. He was really good. He was part of the Radicals, which I loved. And but no, it was such a sad. And I hate the fact that now he has been completely wiped. Whenever you see him in a match on YouTube, his name's been taken out, and Vince McMahon's final thank you to him.
At the same time, I'm like, it's harsh in regards to Chris Benoit, the wrestler, but Chris Benoit, the guy, ended up being a dick. So.
Is it? Yeah. So there was a lot of stories of him about that.
Brain damage as well, though. Steroid abuse, because he was one of the few people that would willingly take a chair shot to the back of the head, and he used to do diving headbutt. You
just don't see it anymore with wrestling. The last time I saw.
The Fiend.
Yeah, but if you actually watch it, he puts the chair between He puts the chair between the ladder.
And even when he smacked it to begin with, he hit the canvas more, and he had that leather mask to protect him as well.
The last time I saw the match that kind of defined my generation, it would have been Undertaker versus Triple H with HBK as the ref. It was the end of the era match.
Oh, right.
In the cell. It was something like 56 or so many chair shots each of them took. And it was incredible. The welts on their backs were absolutely incredible, but they actually had headshots. They all had to sign waivers to say, listen, if you do this is unsanctioned. But it was kind of like the end of the year. They were going out the way they did. I love that end scene with them by the Titantron leaving, and they're all hugging each other, waving goodbye.
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah,
the end of the Attitude Era. That's it. You're never going to see that again.
I love Triple H selling it as well, because Undertaker in the last one, was like half collapsed and couldn't walk out.
Well, that was good. That was a year in the making. That was nice. But no, in this one, when he was he went to get the sledgehammer and he got pulled away from him, and he got pushed back in the corner. It's like the last act of defiance. They'll suck it thing.
Yeah.
And then just got knocked out. But then to have HBK there, who's best friends with both of them, who's been through some amazing battles with the Undertaker and Triple H. The unsanctioned matches against him and Triple H years ago were some of the best fights.
The Undertaker had to threaten him a lot back in the day as well to do matches where he knew he'd lose, because he knew Shawn Michaels was a dick.
Oh yeah, he openly admits it now. Yeah. He's a crap actor, but he was a bloody good actor. He's bloody good at what he did. So, but yeah, no, it was really good.
Did you see the AEW chair shots when Shawn Spears exposed Ninja?
No, I didn't. This
is a while ago.
I think this was a while ago. This was.
It wasn't Double or Nothing. I think it was Fighter Fest. It might have been Double or Nothing.
Because I remember watching Cody Rhodes against his brother. That was a good match. There was a lot of blood in that match. He opened up quite well.
That was Double or Nothing, I think.
Yeah. But, I think it was the one after that. Was it All or Nothing?
Yeah. Double or Nothing was the first proper AEW one.
There was All In. There was.
All In was just them. No, it wasn't AEW.
Oh, it wasn't. Okay, yeah.
Official. That was what made AEW.
Yeah.
So you had Double or Nothing. Then you had Fighter Fest. Then you had Fight for the Fallen.
Yeah, that was good.
Now, actually.
I think it was, yeah.
And then I like the new one, Full Gear as well. Everyone's like, oh, it was a shit name. It's like, no, it just sounds like a wrestling pay-per-view. Sound-wise.
No, it worked well. I liked it.
Yeah. And Cody versus Jericho, that's cool. Jericho's Jericho. So.
And he's still going at his age. It's amazing. You know, he's a funny guy as well. He's a magician. He's a good comedian as well. He's done a few shows. And then, you know,
whenever he does a promo on AW, he's always doing it off the cuff completely. Yeah.
That takes a lot. I love that. There's that running meme at the moment. A little bit of bubbly.
A little bit of the bubbly.
I want a little bit of the bubbly.
Little bit of the bubbly.
He's such a fun. His music's good as well. I love his music. But he's put his body through a lot, and he's come back again and again.
One of the people that hasn't been injured very much, so.
Oh no, he reinvents himself.
Yeah, every time.
He started using the list again. Like,
I did hear it.
These guys are my. He's like, these guys are my inner circle. They're all on the list. They're taking the mick out of what it used to be like.
Yeah, which doesn't make sense because when they were on the list before, that meant he was going to beat them up.
Exactly. Yeah, I love that part of it.
And then they started chanting "We the People" when he was just like, "No, that was from a shitty creative. It's been buried now."
That's it. Yeah, but no, it's brilliant.
Yeah, 2 hours put it in. This has become the longest podcast of them all.
Oh, there you are, bud.
There we go.
I genuinely enjoyed it, buddy. It's been really good.
I'm glad, man. I'll get it all.
I don't know how much of it is funny and quite shocking. You know, I don't know if they're going to arrest me after this.
Oh,
you
nothing was bad. Generally, in all honesty, I generally leave it unedited.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Just whacking some stuff. I'll get the audio one on first, first, and I'll get the video one on, which should be faster now because I've got to grips to it with the new intro.
So how long does that usually take you then? A couple of weeks, couple of days?
Oh no, within a week.
Oh, that's pretty good. That is. Yeah. See, what I did for Jack today, that ain't gonna come on until like January time. Oh, you know, he's only done 3 or 4 of them so far, and he's doing like trying to do as many as he can, and then he'll release them in podcast form as well. Yeah, but then in like January, he's gonna start like the heavily edited versions you'll get on the radio. So
because we talk about topical stuff, so I like to try and get it out as quick as.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant.
Yeah, but yeah, man. Other than that, then quick plug like. You got your 7th of November gig coming up, the one I'm doing.
Yes.
Coffee number 1 in Hereford.
Coffee number 1, come down. Hereford is becoming a lot more. What's all this? Hereford's becoming a lot more comedy based, and I'm inviting so many people to come down to try new material. Later, so well. I got a lot of faith in you. I
missed something there.
No, I was just shaking my head. No, I got a lot of faith in you, so that's gonna be great. I'm looking to push a lot more comedians down Hereford, around the lower Midlands. I'm going to be running other gigs in other areas as well. But I want to look at doing Edinburgh Fringe previews down there as well. I've already had people asking me. There are a couple of other venues who want to try out some comedy as well, which is great. But myself, I'm not just promoting. I also want to. I want to carry on gigging. I'm travelling a lot further now, which is great.
Well, you'll be able to catch him on the 28th of January at the first Subside in Your House Comedy Night event, and you'll be seeing a lot more of that soon. But back to Darren.
It's going to be good.
Wow. The whole podcast went without saying your name.
There you go. Well done for that. Yeah. So.
Damn. Said in the last.
That's all right. Just edit it out. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I can edit it.
I'm gigging. I'm doing about between 8 and 10 gigs a month at the moment. I'm here, there, and everywhere, and I love it. I'm going back to some venues that have asked me back, which is always nice.
Yeah.
I'm going back to the HollyBush, which I love every time I come back out there. It's brilliant.
When are you going up there?
It'll be the 20. It's next, not this Thursday, the following Thursday, and I'm bringing up some new comedians from Worcester who are going to be phenomenal.
So that's where are we now? That'll probably be about 14. So
there's still spaces on there, so jump on there.
That'll be the kind of time I'll be down there, actually.
That'll be perfect.
I've got stuff started at the beginning of the month, as you know.
I'm starting to headline a couple of nights now, which has been so great. I'm so pleased that people want me to headline for a start, which is great. But while I've got you for the last few seconds, then I just want to say, obviously, thank you for letting me on. It's been absolutely brilliant.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to me. Thank you to everyone who's been supporting me. You know, there's such a huge range of comedians who have helped me get to me where I am. They always offer me help and advice and support. And it's been much thanks. So thank you. You know who you are. So thank you very much.
It is nice how supportive they all are. It's
they
surprising.
Yeah. If you're as the same as them, if you help out wherever you go, especially with the new comedians, you're helping them out, and you know you get helped as well. Yeah. It's the right thing. We're all in the same boat, aren't we?
And it's like when you see someone have their first gig, they come down, like everyone's like patting them on the back, saying well done.
That's it.
Even if they weren't great, it's just the fact that you got up there and you did it. You know, that's where you got to start. Yeah, that's man. It's banging a little bit. But
thank you very much.
Yeah, Mr. Big D, thank you very much, my man.
Thank you very much, and hopefully see you again soon.
Well, hopefully we're going to be doing that gig for you.
Yeah.
Let's go blind.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Good night.
Cheers,
Thank you
my
very
man.
much. Cheers.
Sorry, man, a bit sweaty.
That's all right.